But now, not only was his woman violated by Zhao Fu, his mother and sister were also violated by Zhao Fu. A few days later, the situation in the Thunder Kingdom was stabilized, and the people in all areas accepted the rule of Qin. The name of the Thunder Kingdom was officially abolished on this day. Because the Thunder Kingdom had been conquered by Qin, it would naturally not continue to use his name. Moreover, if it continued to use this name, the people of the Thunder Kingdom would have a sense of belonging, so it had to be changed. Zhao Fu had wanted to give it a few nice names, such as Kanglin, Tianhen, Yueshu, Kunwu, etc. However, he felt that none of these names were suitable, and this was already Qin's territory. It would be even worse if he gave it a name that was not related to Qin, so he called it Qin's residence, and the people there were all people of Qin. After taking control of the Thunder Kingdom, Zhao Fu directly merged the Rock Kingdom into it. The two countries were connected, and for the convenience of ruling, Zhao Fu did not want to manage them separately. Now, Qin had a large territory. The others also realized that the Rock Kingdom had long been under Qin's control, and that mysterious expert was one of Qin's people. The various forces became even more afraid, as they understood how terrifying Zhao Fu was. There are also some other matters. According to Eileen's request, Zhao Fu released the Thunder Nation's Night Association. It did not make much sense to kill them, and it did not benefit Zhao Fu. However, because Elena had contributed to this rescue, she received a lot of rewards. The Knights Union also implemented a point system. The higher the points, the higher the authority, and the higher the level of the items that could be exchanged. Although Elena and the 11 Knights were the president and the elder of a place, their status in the Knights Union was not high. Instead, they were relatively low, so they had very little authority and could not make many decisions. Zhao Fu thought that if he helped Elena and the others to improve their status in the Knights Union, it would bring him many benefits. The Knights Union was the most powerful force in the card world. Elena also persuaded the higher-ups of the Knights Union to let them continue to stay in Qin's territory and collect information about Qin. The people in the Knights Union did not refuse this request. They were very curious about the power of Qin, and they also wanted to get information about Qin. Of course, the information they got was deliberately leaked to them by Qin, because Elena and the others already belonged to Qin. In addition to this matter, there was also the matter of Hillary. After the Rock Kingdom was integrated into the Thunder Kingdom, the enfeoffment system was also abolished. However, Hillary was still the queen, and she managed the whole territory of Qin's territory. However, she was not very interested in managing various things, and she had been building her own cavalry regiment. Now, part of the territory was managed by Qin's people, and the other part was managed by the former ministers of the Rock Kingdom and the Thunder Kingdom. Zhao Fu found that Helena and Hisami both had good management skills, so he also handed some things over to them. Under various management, the people's lives did not change much, and they gradually had a sense of belonging to Qin's territory. Finally, there was the matter of the National Cavalry Regiment. This was the National Cavalry Regiment, not the one that Zhao Fu asked Hillary and Elena to build. Zhao Fu asked them to build the top cavalry regiment, but it was very difficult to build a top cavalry regiment, and it would take a long time. Therefore, they had to focus on the ordinary cavalry regiment. There were about 800,000 people in the Rock Cavalry Regiment. Because they did not participate in any battles, they did not suffer any losses. The Thunder Rumbling Cavalry's originally 1 million people were almost completely wiped out. The precious artifacts on their bodies were all removed to be reused, but many of them were still damaged. This was because a set of precious artifacts was extremely precious, and the Thunder Rumbling country only had 300,000 of them. In fact, they did not expect that the Thunder Cavalry Regiment would be completely destroyed one day. Top. Chapter 2472. If Qin wanted to create a cavalry corps of 1 million soldiers, he would need many more sets of relics. Even though the Kingdom of Locke had 200,000 or so sets of relics, every kingdom's relics were different. They all had their own forging methods and attributes. Most importantly, a cavalry corps' relics had to have the same attributes in order to unleash the most power. The kingdom of Locke's relics were of the water attribute, while the kingdom of Thunder's relics were of the lightning attribute. Now, Qin could only gather all sorts of materials and ask the Thunder Kingdom's equipment masters to forge new relics. Finally, there were war horses. The Cavalry Corps' war horses naturally could not be ordinary war horses. They had to be powerful war horses that matched the soldiers' attributes. Almost all of the war horses had died in battle. The Thunder Nation had also raised the war horses, but they were still lacking in numbers. They needed roughly 400,000 of them. Zhao Fu continued to have people nurture war horses and buy them from the Knights Guild. However, he would not be able to create a cavalry corps in a short period of time. Zhao Fu thought to himself, in the future, he would definitely conquer different kingdoms and have different cavalry corps. If rebuilding was so difficult, it would be quite troublesome. Should he create a cavalry corps that belonged to Qin? He would have people, relics, and war horses, and he would not have to rely on conquering other kingdoms to increase his cavalry corps. However, this was quite difficult. First, Qin was a Heaven Awakened World faction, so his soldiers could not become knights from the card world. They could not use relics, so it would be impossible to create a cavalry corps. Secondly, he would need relics that matched the soldier's attributes, which was a kingdom's relic. This would require Qin to research and create his own relic. Thirdly, there were war horses. Right now, Qin's most common war horses were Black God horses, which were mostly at Stage 2. Only a few of them were at Stage 3, so he needed stronger war horses. Zhao Fu handed all of these to his subordinates to research and see if they could give Qin's soldiers the knight profession and create Qin's relic. This would take a long time and would not be completed in a short period of time. Bai Qi had seen how powerful the cavalry corps was, and he was quite interested in them, so he decided to participate. After dealing with all kinds of things, Zhao Fu wanted to discuss the next thing with the ministers. A bodyguard came in and reported, "Tuwei country sent a messenger to Qin and wants to see your majesty." Zhao Fu was a little surprised. He didn't expect that Tuwei country would take the initiative to contact Qin. He nodded and let the messenger of Tuwei country in. Subsequently, a tall man from the Tuwei kingdom entered the hall and bowed to Zhao Fu. "Greetings, your majesty." Zhao Fu felt that the other party's attitude was good, and a smile appeared on his face. What is the purpose of your Tuwei country coming to Qin?" The messenger of Tuwei said with a smile, "Our country has heard of the power of the Qin state, so we specially came to visit and brought the local products of Tuwei as gifts." After he finished speaking, more than a dozen people from Tuwei sent a few big boxes. When the boxes were opened, they contained some earth element treasures. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "Your Tuwei country is too polite. I'll go visit in the future." Seeing that Zhao Fu's attitude was quite good, the messenger of Tuwei smiled and said, "Apart from paying a visit, I also have something to discuss with your majesty." Zhao Fu looked at him and asked, "What is it?" The messenger of Tuwei smiled as he said, "Both of our kingdoms have entered the card world as Heaven Awakened World factions and have to face countless card world kingdoms. We have a common enemy and are so close to each other. My kingdom wants to ally with Qin to resist the card world factions together." "So you're here to ally?" Zhao Fu started to think. Forming an alliance was not a bad thing for Qin. First, they could not attack each other. Moreover, they had to face countless card world factions in the card world, so it would be better to have more helpers. After making this decision, Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "No problem. I, Qin, am willing to ally with your Tuwei country." The messenger of Tuwei felt quite delighted. He had completed such an important matter so easily. He did not encounter any difficulties and smiled as he said, "Your Majesty, forming an alliance with us is beneficial to both sides. Your Majesty, you've made the right decision." Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "I'll order people to hold a banquet and have Qin entertain you." The messenger of Tuwei said humbly, "I'll have to trouble your Majesty. Also, I need to report this matter to the Tuwei country and will have to leave for a while." Following this, the messenger of Tuwei had people send this news back. The people for the Thunder Kingdom felt quite happy. They had thought that Qin's faction was even more powerful than theirs, as it had been able to destroy two powerful kingdoms in an instant without facing much resistance. The terrifying expert they had thought was not someone from the card world, but the ruler of the Qin kingdom. With such a terrifying king who had easily destroyed 2 kingdoms, his strength was definitely monstrous. Having such a powerful faction as an ally was a great thing. Not long after, the Tue kingdom suddenly attacked the 2 small kingdoms next to it, the Dori kingdom and Yushi kingdom. Boom! Boom! 2 loud explosions sounded out as the army of the Tue kingdom divided into 2 groups and rushed towards the 2 small kingdoms with great power. Although the 2 small kingdoms had strengthened their defenses, they were still terrified. They hurriedly informed others to defend against the Tue kingdom. When the others heard this, they were shocked. What they had been worried about had happened. Without hesitation, they hurriedly sent troops to attack the Tue kingdom's base from all directions, trying to stall the Tue kingdom. When Qin heard this, he ordered Qin's soldiers to divide into several groups and attack several kingdoms separately. Zhao Fu was not really going to attack them, but he was just trying to scare them and make them withdraw their troops. Facing Qin's attack, the kingdoms could do nothing. They were afraid that they could not resist Qin, so they could only withdraw their troops to resist Qin. They could not ignore their own safety for the sake of other kingdoms. Now, they understood that if 2 terrifying factions allied, they would feel terrified and powerless to resist one. Now, they would feel a little desperate. The people from the Tue kingdom smiled. With Qin's help, the pressure on them had been greatly reduced. They continued to order people to attack the 2 kingdoms. They turned their attention to the 2 battlefields. The 2 armies continued to charge towards the 2 kingdoms, and the people from the 2 kingdoms shot out arrows that contained immense force as they tore through the sky and rained down towards the 2 armies. The Tue kingdom was indeed very powerful. It gave off countless yellow lights. Countless arrows were all blocked by the yellow lights. It was as if the arrows had hit a wall and were sent flying and falling to the ground. Peak. Chapter 2473. The 2 armies continued to charge towards the 2 kingdoms. The kingdom of Dori immediately threw out countless cards, which turned into countless green motes of light. Massive green rocks containing immense force shot forwards. Bang! 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 A series of loud sounds rang out as the cyan boulders collided with the yellow light, causing the yellow light to dim. However, the Daoi kingdom had more soldiers, and the yellow light they gave off was quite powerful. The yellow light only dimmed and did not disappear. The kingdom of Dori once again threw out countless cards, which turned into countless green motes of light. Massive green rocks containing terrifying force shot towards the Daoi kingdom with terrifying sounds. Bang! 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 Muffled sounds sounded out as the countless green rocks smashed against the yellow light, causing the yellow light to dim. Some of the green rocks were not blocked and smashed against the Daoi people's bodies. The Daoi people were quite powerful, and facing the falling rocks, they punched out, shattering the falling rocks and continuing to rush towards the kingdom of Dori. Swish, swish, swish! The kingdom of Dori once again shot out arrows, giving off massive auras as if they could pierce through everything. Countless Daoi people shot out. By now, the yellow light that the Daoi army gave off was quite dim, and it could only block a small portion of the arrows. Most of the arrows continued towards the Daoi army. The Edatail soldiers unleashed a powerful force, and their bodies quickly became as hard as stone. When the arrows hit their bodies, most of them were sent flying, and only a small portion of the arrows pierced through the Edatail soldiers' bodies. The Daoi soldiers' expressions became quite grim, and they felt that the Daoi soldiers were too powerful. By now, the Daoi army had reached the walls of the kingdom of Dori. The Daoi soldiers once again threw out all sorts of cards, which turned into countless motes of light and spread out, forming a massive green barrier that covered the walls. Facing the green barrier in front of them, the Daoi soldiers loudly roared and gave off boundless yellow power. The yellow power gathered together and formed massive rods. Bang! 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 The massive yellow rods brought with them immense power as they smashed against the azure barrier, causing massive sounds to ring out. The azure barrier started to chaotically tremble, as if it was unable to withstand this terrifying power. Bang, bang, bang. Massive sounds once again sounded out as the massive rods gave off terrifying power as they smashed against the azure defensive barrier, causing it to shatter. One by one, the Tuwei people leaped more than 20 meters before crashing into the city wall. They created a few holes and climbed onto the city wall before rushing up. The Dorian soldiers were terrified and once again threw out cards, which turned into rays of light and shot towards the ground. Bang, bang, bang. Azure stone spears containing immense power shot out from the ground incredibly quickly, piercing through the Earthtail soldiers' bodies. Blood flew everywhere as pitiful cries sounded out. This wave of attack caused many casualties to Tuwei country. The soldiers of Tuwei were furious. Their feet gave off an intense yellow light as they stomped on the ground, causing the ground to crack. They rushed into the sky and flew towards the city wall. Some flew onto the city wall and started to fight with the Dorian soldiers, while others smashed into the city wall, creating craters. They then quickly climbed up the city wall. Soon, the Tuwei soldiers had climbed up the city wall and started to fight with the Dorian soldiers. Soon, the Tuwei soldiers had reached the top of the city wall. A Dori Kingdom soldier swung his fist, and a massive power sent a Dori Kingdom soldier flying backwards. The Dori Kingdom soldier flew backwards and coughed up a large mouthful of blood. The Dori Kingdom soldier roared and stabbed his spear into the Dori Kingdom soldier's body. A Tuwei soldier held a massive saber and vigorously slashed, splitting a Dorian soldier in half. A Tuwei soldier gave off massive power as he charged forwards, sending a few Dorian soldiers flying. A Dorian soldier held a massive axe and vigorously swung it, chopping off a Tuwei soldier's head. Another Tuwei soldier slashed another Dorian soldier and sent him flying. The two sides fought intensely, and cries continuously sounded out. Blood flew everywhere, and there were corpses on the city wall. The outcome was quite obvious. The Dorian kingdom could not stop the Tuwei country. A large number of soldiers were killed. In the end, the Dorian soldiers could not stop them and could only retreat. This meant that the Dorian kingdom had lost, and the Tuwei soldiers ferociously chased after the Dorian soldiers. Suddenly, there were 300,000 or so cavalrymen dressed in azure armor and holding spears riding on warhorses. They gave off immense power as they quickly rushed towards the Tuwei soldiers. The Tuwei soldiers coldly laughed and pressed their hands against the ground. Massive earthen walls giving off powerful auras quickly stretched out from the ground, blocking in front of the Tuwei soldiers. They thought that the earthen walls would be able to easily stop this group of cavalrymen. Now that the other Dorian soldiers were running, this group of cavalrymen was seeking death. The commander of the cavalrymen was a handsome young man. He held a spear and roared, "Charge!" The other soldiers all wielded their spears and burst forth with powerful strength. Their bodies emitted countless rays of green light. These rays of green light formed a huge green cone-shaped body of light, emitting an extremely terrifying power. The cavalrymen quickly galloped on the ground, and the sound of their hooves hitting the ground was like thunder. They were like azure bolts of lightning, giving off an aura that seemed to be able to destroy everything as they charged forwards. Bang! 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 The massive earthen walls in front of them were instantly shattered, and rubble flew everywhere. There was no power to stop them at all. The soldiers behind the earthen walls were greatly shocked, and before they could react, they were sent flying by the massive power. They were like gravel that had been swept away, and a massive passageway was created in the Tuwei army. The Tuwei soldiers who had been sent flying were either heavily injured or dead. Countless Tuwei soldiers looked incredibly shocked. They had never thought that the cavalrymen would have such destructive power. They did not dare to underestimate the cavalrymen and gathered their forces to deal with the cavalrymen. In the end, all of the cavalrymen were killed by the Tuwei soldiers. Looking at the dead cavalrymen, the Tuwei soldiers felt quite shocked. If there had been more of them, they might have suffered a crushing defeat. This was the first time they had felt how terrifying the cavalrymen in the card world were. Following this, the Tuwei soldiers did not encounter any resistance, and their army rushed towards the Dorian kingdom, quickly conquering territory. The outcome of the other battlefield was similar to this one. Chapter 2474. After the Tuwei kingdom destroyed those two small kingdoms, their territory was connected to Qin's territory. In the future, if anyone encountered any problems, they would be able to send troops to help. The surrounding kingdoms started to feel even more terrified. There had only been 30 or so kingdoms here, and now 4 of them have been destroyed. Now, they will be the next ones to be destroyed. Now, they understood that the two powerful Heaven Awakened World factions had allied together. They understood that they could not just split up like that, or else they would be destroyed. Therefore, they decided to besiege Great Qin and Tuwei Kingdom. The surrounding countries joined hands to surround Great Qin and Tuwei Kingdom. They even built defensive structures. They wanted to ally together and attack the two factions, but they did not have the courage to do so. This was because they guessed that Qin and Tuwei were kingdom-level factions and could send troops at any time. They were only small marquisate kingdoms and dukedom kingdoms, so it would be very difficult for them to defeat these two kingdom-level factions. Moreover, they asked for help from the surrounding kingdoms, but none of them paid any attention. They had long since known about this, but decided to wait and see. The lives and deaths of these small kingdoms had nothing to do with them. After the cavalry corps' charge, the Tuwei kingdom stopped being careless and did not rashly attack. They chose to stabilize themselves for a while. They still remembered that terrifying scene. Even though the cavalry corps only had 300,000 people, millions of Tuwei soldiers could not stop them. Countless Tuwei soldiers were thrown high into the air before falling down. The Tuwei kingdom started to research information about the card world. After conquering the two small kingdoms, they did not kill everyone and chose to subdue the residents of the card world. The benefits of subduing residents were far greater than killing them. They were very grateful for Qin's help and ordered people to send all sorts of gifts and beauties. They were not interested in the women in the card world at all. They were all 3 meters tall and had strong and heavy bodies. If they fell down, they could crush an ordinary person to death. They would only be interested if they were giants or women from the spirit race. Zhao Fu accepted all of the gifts. Helping the Tuwei kingdom this time meant that the Tuwei kingdom owed Qin a favor. In the future, they would be able to help each other out in this place. Also, Zhao Fu had asked Tuwei country to release some people from the Knights Guild to help Elena and the others increase their points. The Knights Guild had been issuing quests to rescue the people who were tied up in the two small countries. It would have been difficult for others, but it was easy for Elena and her companions because they had Qin's help. Now, Qin and Tuwei country were allies, and Qin Haodong had helped them once. It was not a problem for Qin Haodong to release some people from the Knight Union. After that, Zhao Fu discussed with the other generals about the future. Zhao Fu wanted Qin to continue attacking towards the east because the card land was located there. Zhao Fu really wanted to obtain that card land. Perhaps it would be of great help to Qin. The strongest kingdom in the vicinity, the Dragon Kingdom, occupied that place. It was said that the royal families there all had powerful dragon bloodlines. The dragon race could be said to be a powerful creature in any world. Possessing their bloodline and power would be of great help to anyone. If Qin Haodong wanted to obtain the card land, he had to destroy the Dragon Kingdom. Zhao Fu had collected all the information about the Dragon Kingdom. It had a population of more than 400 billion and a military force of 40 billion. It had been founded for more than 620 years and was an old kingdom. Their soldiers also had dragon power, which made them stronger than ordinary soldiers. The most terrifying thing was the Dragon King's knights. Ordinary knights could exert terrifying power, such as what had happened just now. The knights of the two small countries had fought so hard that Tuwei country had been unable to resist. They had mainly relied on numbers to kill the knights. Those were only the knights of the small countries. The Dragon Kingdom's knights were king-level knights, and their spiritual tools were all high-level spiritual tools, unlike the intermediate spiritual tools that Zhao Fu now had. The horses they rode were not ordinary horses, but horses with dragon blood. When they grew up, their strength would be at stage 4 or 5. The knight's strength was basically at stage 5. The most frightening thing was that the Dragon Kingdom had hired 40 million people. Yes, it was a knight legion with 40 million knights. Hundreds of thousands of cavalrymen were already able to unleash terrifying destructive power. So how terrifying would 40 million cavalrymen be able to unleash power? Just thinking about it made Qin Haodong feel quite terrified. A knight legion could easily destroy an ordinary kingdom in the outer regions of the Heaven-Awakened world. Right now, Qin was only destroying a few small countries, so he had a great advantage. However, facing a kingdom of the same level, the pressure would be immense. As such, it would be quite difficult for Qin to destroy the Dragon Kingdom. What's more, there was not just one kingdom, but many kingdoms. It seemed that the Tue Kingdom and Qin Kingdom did not feel much pressure, but facing those royal kingdom existences, the pressure would be immense. With Qin Kingdom's forces, they could only choose to defend and did not dare to face them head-on. They would not be able to destroy the Dragon Kingdom in a short period of time, and the situation was quite stable. Zhao Fu wondered if he should put aside the matters in the card world for now. Zhao Fu still had to take care of awakening the spirit race's Emperor Star and art, so it was not as if he had nothing else to do. These things were all quite important and were not small matters. Moreover, that higher being had said that apart from a great thousand world crashing into the Heaven-Awakened world, there would also be a massive catastrophe. Now that the card world was crashing into the Heaven-Awakened world, the unknown catastrophe would happen soon. Compared to this, the card world was not a big deal. Zhao Fu decided to put the card world's matters aside and allow his faction to develop for a while. Zhao Fu planned to leave the matters here to Wei Liao. Hilary and Eileen needed to establish a knight legion, and even though Helena and Hisami could help with internal affairs, they still needed a great general to defend them. As for Bai Qi, he was Zhao Fu's most trusted general and could not defend the card world. After Zhao Fu left Qin Kingdom, he would have to defend Qin Kingdom. After giving some simple instructions, Zhao Fu returned to Qin Kingdom. Hilary and the 12 knights were still playing around in Qin Kingdom, and they were quite curious about Qin Kingdom. Zhao Fu called her back to the palace. "Is something the matter?" Hilary asked as she stood in the palace and looked at Zhao Fu. She had not had enough fun yet and planned to continue playing around in Qin Kingdom. Zhao Fu looked at her and smiled as he asked, "Do you know about Qin Kingdom now?" Peek. Chapter 2475. Hilary said happily, "Now I know that Qin is incredibly powerful and has immense potential. There are also many fun things and places to do." Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "Don't play for too long. I'm about to leave Qin and head to the Heaven-Awakened world's spirit domain. I need you to go back and do some things in the card world." Hilary went up and sat in Zhao Fu's embrace as she hugged Zhao Fu and asked, "What is it? How long will you be gone for?" Zhao Fu replied, "It's something very important. I don't know exactly how long it will be, but it might be a very long time." "Oh," Hilary replied reluctantly. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "You just need to go and have a look at the card world. Also, you can set up a cavalry corps and come play with Qin whenever you have time. I'll send a general over there, so you don't have to manage too many things." Hilary hugged Zhao Fu and looked at Zhao Fu as she asked, "Which general are you going to send?" "I feel that someone is very suitable. I get along quite well with her, and I'm not sure if she'll be able to defend the card world." Zhao Fu felt quite surprised. He had never thought that Hilary would become good friends with someone in Qin in just a few days. He smiled and asked, "What's her name?" Hilary happily replied, "She's called Tina Pendragon. The first time I met her, I felt a sense of familiarity and closeness, and we became friends. Even though she doesn't walk the path of a knight, the things that she believes in are similar to the path of a knight." Zhao Fu thought about it. Tina Pendragon walked the path of a king and believed in justice, light, vows, bravery, love, and many other things. She also had 10 knights by her side. The card world was like the ancient Western world, and this suited Tina Pendragon quite well. Moreover, Tina Pendragon's power was quite similar to that of the other side. If they went there, perhaps Tina Pendragon's power would become even more powerful. Zhao Fu smiled and ordered people to call Tina Pendragon over. Tina Pendragon, who had long blonde hair and azure eyes and was wearing a silver-white knight's dress, arrived in the hall. When she saw Hilary in Zhao Fu's arms, she was not surprised. After being Zhao Fu's woman for so long, she understood Zhao Fu quite well and smiled as she said, "Husband, it's not a big deal. Is there something you need from me?" Hilary felt quite startled. She had never thought that Tina Pendragon would also be Zhao Fu's woman, as she had never mentioned this before. Zhao Fu smiled and said, "Come up. I have something to tell you." Tina Pendragon's face became slightly red as she went up and sat in Zhao Fu's embrace and said softly, "Husband, I'm quite worried about you. What's the matter?" Zhao Fu hugged Tina Pendragon and said with a smile, "I feel that the card world is very suitable for you to develop there, so I'll let you guard there first. With your ability, it shouldn't be a problem." A trace of a smile appeared on Tina Pendragon's face as she said, "Husband, I was just about to tell you about this. The card world is quite similar to my power, and I really like the knights there. As such, I want to go to the card world to develop." Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "Since you also think that way, I have no objections." Seeing how close Zhao Fu and Tina Pendragon were, Hilary felt a bit jealous. She hugged Zhao Fu and said coquettishly, "Husband." Seeing her like this, Zhao Fu lightly laughed. Tina Pendragon also revealed a trace of a smile. Following this, Zhao Fu had them leave. He gathered the ministers and told them that he was going to leave Qin City and go to the spirit realm. The ministers nodded seriously and felt a bit heavy in their hearts. In the future, they would have to be very careful in Qin City. They had great confidence in Zhao Fu. When Zhao Fu was in Qin City, no matter what difficulties there were, they believed that Zhao Fu would be able to lead them to resist. If Zhao Fu left, their confidence would not be as strong, and all of Qin City revolved around Zhao Fu. After the ministers left, Zhao Fu prepared to go to the domain. Roar! A massive dragon's roar sounded out in all directions, and the dragon race bloodline within Zhao Fu's body became scorching hot. Zhao Fu's expression froze, and after thinking for a moment, he smiled and flew to the side. Zhao Fu came to a platform and saw an enormous gold and silver pillar of light in front of him. It seemed to reach into the sky, and it gave off a massive shockwave that continuously spread out in all directions. It was as if it could topple mountains and overturn seas, and it was simply unstoppable. All of Qin City sensed this extremely terrifying dragon power, and countless people's bodies slightly trembled. Expressions of terror appeared on their faces as they looked in that direction. All of the wyverns within the domain of Qin City felt an immense pressure and did not dare to fly in the sky. They obediently lay on the ground and looked in that direction, as if some terrifying thing from the dragon race had appeared. The nearby alliances, the Aeolian Empire, and even the kingdoms further away all sensed this massive dragon power. What is Qin City plotting? Ever since Qin had destroyed the Devil Horn Empire, it had been a long time since he had done anything, and everyone was wary of what Qin City was plotting. Now that they sensed the terrifying shockwaves that Qin gave off, everyone felt incredibly shocked and worried. Right now, Qin City was simply too terrifying. When Zhao Fu had returned from the boundless void, he had brought back many things, including a dragon soul crystal. This dragon soul crystal was a higher being great dragon soul crystal, and it contained massive amounts of dragon power. Now, Qin City had two types of dragon dens, the Wyvern Den and the Splendor Knight Silver Dragon Denver. Qin City had been developing the Wyvern Den this entire time, so Qin City had many wyverns. However, Qin City had obtained the Splendor Knight Silver Dragon Den quite late, and it was a top-tier stage 8 dragon species, so it took a long time to respawn, so there were not many of them. Zhao Fu chose to fuse the higher being Great Dragon Soul into the Splendor Knight Silver Dragon Den, as the Wyvern Den's grade was too low. After Zhao Fu's dragon's soul fused into Splendor Knight's Silver Dragon Den, the den had started to go through changes and had only just finished. It was because these were higher being grade ripples that they gave off such terrifying ripples. Higher beings could be said to be top-tier existences in the Heaven Awakened world. Heaven and earth power quickly flowed in, creating a massive attractive force. Countless traces of power flowed into the top of the Pillar of Light, causing the power that the top of the Pillar of Light gave off to become stronger and stronger. It was as if it could destroy the heavens and earth, and even the void started to twist. Roar! A massive dragon's roar sounded out in all directions, shaking the world. An incredibly terrifying dragon's might spread out, covering the surroundings. Countless people felt their bodies sink, as if they had fallen into an abyss. Intense terror flowed out from their hearts, and their bodies violently trembled. The people around Qin City saw that the entirety of Qin City was covered by gold and silver light and gave off terrifying ripples. They felt incredibly shocked and did not know what was happening. Peak. Chapter 2476. At the top of the massive Pillar of Light, a pair of massive dragon wings stretched out. The wings were completely silver, but there were some golden dragon inscriptions on them. Following this, a massive dragon head stretched out of the Pillar of Light. The dragon head was long and slender, and it looked elegant and beautiful. It was completely silver. Its eyes were pure gold. There were 6 pairs of dragon horns on its head, and the one in the middle was the largest and longest, while the ones on the sides were slightly smaller. Following this, the dragon's tail grew out from its back. It was very long and slender, and the tip of the tail was forked. Finally, a massive dragon appeared in the sky, seeming like a supreme ruler. It gave off an incredibly terrifying dragon aura, and there were also countless rays of intense gold and silver light that covered the entire world. By now, the massive Pillar of Light had disappeared. Zhao Fu stood at the front and looked at the massive dragon as he smiled. Just from this aura, he could tell that this was not a top-tier Stage 8 dragon, and it was not the Splendor Knight Silver Dragon from before. This dragon looked quite different from the Splendor Knight Silver Dragon. It was much more noble, powerful, and elegant. The dragon in the sky looked down at Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu's expression became serious. This dragon was not something condensed from a heaven and earth abnormal phenomenon, but it had its own consciousness. Zhao Fu quickly realized that this dragon's consciousness most likely came from the Holy Dragon Crystal. The Dragon Crystal contained a great deal of a dragon's power, and it was the most important thing to a dragon. The Dragon Crystal that Zhao Fu had obtained contained a remnant soul of a dragon, and this remnant soul was most likely the owner of the Dragon Crystal. Now that this dragon soul had used the den to condense a dragon's body, Zhao Fu hoped that this would not cause any abnormal phenomena to the Splendor Knight den facing the dragon's gaze. Zhao Fu did not feel any fear, and the terrifying pair of eyes met his gaze. "Who are you?" the dragon said in a cold and arrogant man's voice. Zhao Fu smiled domineeringly as he said, "I'm the Emperor of the Qin Empire, and I'm your master." The dragon's gaze became cold. It had once been a higher being, and even though it had become much weaker, it could not accept someone who was far weaker than it becoming its master. This was a humiliation. "Don't think that I can't kill you just because you control the lair." Zhao Fu was not afraid. With a smile on his face, he said in a provocative tone, "You can try." Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as the dragon gave off a massive power. Its body twisted as if it wanted to break free from something. His body was formed with the help of the nest, and the main part of his body was the Splendor Knight Silver Dragon. Zhao Fu was the master of the nest, and the Splendor Knight Silver Dragons had all kinds of restrictions in their bodies, so they had to listen to Zhao Fu's orders. At that moment, the dragon broke free from the restriction and wanted to attack Zhao Fu. As a former almighty being, he could not stand Zhao Fu's provocation. People with powers like Zhao Fu's, he had eaten countless of them in the past. Boom, boom, boom. The dragon continued to erupt with tremendous power as its body twisted in the sky, giving off terrifying ripples as it tried to break free from the seals within its body. However, the seals were not so easy to break free from, and the dragon's body was mainly made up of the Splendor Knight Silver Dragon's body. However, he had the ability to break free. Now, there were more and more golden dragon inscriptions on his body, and the seals were becoming smaller. It would take him a few hours to break free from the seals within his body. Looking at the dragon continuously struggling in the sky, Zhao Fu gave a cold smile as he raised a hand and vigorously grabbed out. Countless traces of violet light spread out from the sky, instantly dyeing the entire sky violet and covering the light that the dragon gave off. A supreme dragon race power that ruled over all things spread out from the sky. The dragon was greatly startled and looked in disbelief. Boom! At that moment, a shocking explosion sounded out as a massive violet star giving off heaven-toppling might descended from the sky, landing on the massive dragon's body. Even though the dragon looked quite massive and was 100,000 meters long, it seemed quite small compared to the violet star. The dragon was unable to withstand this power at all, and its body started to collapse. The dragon furiously roared before turning into countless motes of light that flowed into the den below. It had never thought that Zhao Fu would have the devil race's supreme emperor star, and it was a dragon race's supreme emperor star. Zhao Fu put away the devil race's supreme emperor star and smiled as he walked towards the Denver. This dragon was simply seeking death, and it had dared to attack Zhao Fu. It still had a portion of its higher being's power, but it was already quite weak. Moreover, its body was formed from the den, so Zhao Fu could suppress it. Now that the dragon's remnant soul had been destroyed by Zhao Fu, it had truly died, and Zhao Fu did not want his den to be affected. Now that the den had absorbed that dragon's soul power, perhaps it would be able to give birth to a den dragon in the future. After coming to the den, Zhao Fu looked at the den stats. Now, the den was not called the Splendor Knight Silver Dragon Den, but Golden Knight Heavenly Dragon. It was not a top-grade Stage 8 dragon, but a Saint Realm dragon. What was key was that it could spawn 5 Golden Knight Heavenly Dragons per day, which meant that it could spawn 50 in 10 days, 500 in 100 days, and 5,000 in 1,000 days. This was incredibly fast. Back then, a top-grade Stage 8 Splendor Knight Silver Dragon would only spawn 1 every half a month, but now, Saint Realm Golden Knight Heavenly Dragons could spawn 5 every day. Moreover, normally, it would take decades to nurture a Saint Realm expert, as well as all sorts of resources and treasures. Now, as long as one had a den, they could spawn 5 Saint Realm dragons every day. Ordinary empires definitely did not have such a high-grade dragon den, and it was incredibly rare in the dragon race. It was an incredibly precious treasure. If the dragon race knew that Zhao Fu had such a treasure, they would most likely send out higher-being dragons to snatch it. Zhao Fu had fused the higher-being dragon crystal into it, and Zhao Fu was very satisfied with the dragon race's effects. As for how to use the Golden Knight Heavenly Dragon, Zhao Fu already had a plan. Zhao Fu felt that the wyverns were enough, and he had nurtured all sorts of ice and fire dragons, insect den dragons, and mechanical wyverns. Zhao Fu wanted to use the Golden Knight Heavenly Dragon as a mount for his cavalry corps and nurture a dragon cavalry corps. The strength of a cavalry corps was related to the mount, and a dragon cavalry corps made of Saint Realm dragons would be far more powerful than other cavalry corps. Top. Chapter 2477. The Golden Knight Sky Dragon had 2 attributes. One was the darkness attribute, which was a high-grade night power. The other was the light attribute, which was a terrifying top-tier power called the Golden Radiance power. This was the power of the Golden Radiance, which was the power of the Almighty Dragon, and it had now fused with the power of the Splendor Knight Silver Dragon. With these 2 powers, the Golden Knight Sky Dragon would definitely be more powerful than an ordinary Sage-level dragon. Right now, the Golden Knight Heavenly Dragon lair still needed some time to develop on its own. Zhao Fu put it aside for now and handed it over to someone else to manage. After that, Zhao Fu officially stepped on the road to Spirit Realm. The Spirit Realm was quite far from the human realm. If he took a detour, he would have to cross 3 large realms. So Zhao Fu chose to go through the Heaven Realm, which was the central realm, to reach the Spirit Realm on the other side. This part of the journey was not short, so it would probably take a lot of time. Half a month later, Zhao Fu used the teleportation formation the entire time without resting. Finally, he arrived at the Heaven Domain. After half a month of arduous travel, Zhao Fu felt quite tired. After arriving at the Heaven Domain, he found an inn to rest in. After a simple wash, Zhao Fu sat in the lobby of the inn and ate. Many people were drinking and chatting around him. Zhao Fu listened carefully to see if he could obtain any useful information. Zhao Fu did not know what was happening in the Heaven Domain. From the discussions of the others, Zhao Fu learned that there were 2 types of news. The first was a battle between the Heaven Awakened world and the Card world. The Heaven Awakened world's focus had shifted from the alchemy world to the Card world. The godly world and underworld participation had indeed reduced the pressure on the Heaven Awakened world, and the situation in the Chaos battlefield was quite stable. Both sides continued to attack each other, and the Heaven Awakened world relied on their numbers to defend against the alchemy world attacks. They were not as passive as before. The battle in the Card world had gone quite smoothly, causing the Heaven Awakened world to agree. They felt that the Card world was not a very powerful world, so the Card world had retaliated and caused great losses to the Heaven Awakened world. Now that the 2 sides were in a stalemate, no one had much of an advantage. There were also some who talked about the various magical cards in the Card world. Some people had obtained quite a few, but unfortunately, they could not use them. The second type of news was that all of the factions in the Heaven Domain were gathering resources, and they felt that something bad was about to happen. Hearing this, Zhao Fu immediately thought of the disaster that the higher being had mentioned. Not only did that higher being know about it, but the other large factions also knew about it and were making all sorts of preparations. Many of the major powers were prepared and had the strength to deal with the future. However, the smaller powers were powerless. They didn't even know what was going to happen. When Zhao Fu saw that the various major powers had begun their preparations, he understood that he did not have much time left. So, after resting for a while in the inn, he continued on his way. Wait, not too long after, Zhao Fu was suddenly called out by a voice behind him. He felt that this voice was quite familiar, and he didn't know where he had heard it before. Zhao Fu stopped and turned to look behind him. He saw a young man smiling at him. He had a handsome face, a pair of devilish violet eyes, and a head of jet black hair. His body was very slender and fit, and he wore white clothes that revealed his chest. Every muscle on his body was very well proportioned, and he did not look exaggerated or weak. He gave off a powerful, masculine aura. Seeing him frown, a bad image appeared in Zhao Fu's mind. This person in front of him was someone from Emperor Path College, and he was a famous person called Violet Cloud. On his way to Emperor Path College, he had unintentionally entered a hot spring, which was Ziyun's place. Ziyun was sitting with 10 or so handsome men, doing indescribable things. The same image appeared in Zhao Fu's mind. Back then, Zhao Fu had been quite weak and had been captured by Ziyun. If it wasn't for the 6 desires demonic chi, Zhao Fu might have been ravaged by Ziyun. Zhao Fu had never thought that he would meet him here. Now, Ziyun's cultivation was at the peak of the Emperor Heaven Realm, and he was just a bit away from the Void Realm. The masculine aura he gave off was even more intense, and there were 7 or 8 bewitchingly dressed, beautiful men behind him. In just a few years, Ziyun had never thought that the person he could casually kill back then would become an Emperor Heaven Realm expert, and not just an ordinary Emperor Heaven Realm expert at that. Zhao Fu did not fear him, and he gave a trace of smile as he asked, "What is it?" Ziyun gave a trace of an evil smile as he said, "I feel that you're someone I'm familiar with, someone I can only dream about, someone who likes to wear a cloak but has a devastatingly beautiful face." Zhao Fu immediately felt quite disgusted. If it was a woman praising him, it would not be wrong, but it was a man. "I think you've mistaken me for someone else. I'm not that person. Also, don't talk to me like that." Ziyun lightly laughed as he said, "Is that so? I feel that your voice and tone are very similar to him. How about you take off your cloak and let me have a look? Don't worry, I won't harm anyone I like." Zhao Fu refused, saying, "No, is there anything else? I'll be going now." Now, Zhao Fu did not want to waste too much time with Ziyun, and he felt quite disgusted and repulsed. Ziyun teasingly smiled as he said, "Now, I like you. No matter if you're him or not, you'll belong to me. Look at the women around me. I've never mistreated them. As long as they become my wives, I'll give them anything they want." Zhao Fu's gaze became slightly cold as he said, "Are you forcing me to teach you a lesson?" Before Ziyun could speak, a beautifully dressed man beside him said in a feminine voice, "It's your fortune that our husband likes you. Do you know who our husband is? If you knew, you'd definitely obediently crawl over to serve her husband." Another beautifully dressed man also said in a feminine voice, "I'd advise you to be more well-behaved and not make our husband angry, or else we'll properly teach you a lesson later." Ziyun smiled as he said, "Don't say any more. I'm not a vulgar man anymore. The more he resists, the more I'll feel a sense of accomplishment conquering him." Zhao Fu could not stand the people in front of him. He raised a hand and gathered power in front of his palm. 3 black rays of light containing immense power quickly shot towards Ziyun and the 2 men who had spoken. Ziyun smiled and waved his hand, causing a violet energy barrier to appear and cover Ziyun and the 2 men. Bang! 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 3 explosions rang out as the 3 beams of light smashed against the defensive barrier with immense power, causing many cracks to appear on the barrier. Ziyun's expression became serious as he looked at Zhao Fu and said, "You're indeed not simple." Chapter 2478. Zhao Fu said coldly, "Be smart and piss off." Ziyun suddenly lightly laughed and said, "I like people like you like this." Boom! An explosion sounded out, and Zhao Fu did not waste any words. He gave off a massive aura and rushed at Ziyun incredibly quickly. He arrived in front of Ziyun and vigorously punched towards him. Even though Ziyun had a smile on his face, his heart became serious. A massive amount of violet chi rose up from his body, and a massive wave of power flowed out. Facing Zhao Fu's punch, Ziyun vigorously slammed out with his palm. Bang! An explosion sounded out as the fist and palm collided with immense power. A powerful shockwave blasted out in all directions, causing the ground to instantly shatter. The 7 or 8 beautiful men behind Ziyun looked quite shocked and retreated a few steps. They had never thought that Zhao Fu would be so powerful. The 2 of them stood in a stalemate, and Ziyun's palm gave off a massive amount of yang energy to block Zhao Fu's fist as he looked at Zhao Fu seriously. Zhao Fu looked at Ziyun and gave off a trace of coldness as he said, "To me, your strength is only average." Boom! An explosion once again sounded out as a massive wave of power flowed out from Zhao Fu's body, and Zhao Fu vigorously pushed out with his fist. Bang! A muffled explosion sounded out as Ziyun's body was slammed by a massive wave of power, forcing him back a few steps. His expression became quite unsightly because he found that Zhao Fu's strength was perhaps even greater than his. Countless traces of black aura flames rose up from Zhao Fu's body, and Zhao Fu's fist continuously gathered the black aura flames, forming a terrifying dragon head that gave off shocking power. Boom! Zhao Fu punched out, and a black aura flame dragon gave off massive power as it ferociously rushed towards Ziyun. Ziyun's expression fell, and a massive wave of yang energy flowed into his hand. His hand gave off an intense violet light and gave off a powerful aura as he vigorously slammed towards the black dragon. Bang! A massive explosion sounded out as the black dragon formed from the black aura flames collided with the palm that gave off countless rays of violet light. A massive explosion blasted out, destroying the ground and buildings in the surrounding hundreds of meters. A massive explosion sounded out as rocks flew everywhere and dust filled the air. The people in the surroundings were terrified and hurriedly hid far away. Many pairs of eyes looked over and felt that the two people in front of them were very terrifying. Ziyan was knocked back a dozen meters by Zhao Fu's attack. He looked at Zhao Fu with a more serious expression. He was now sure that Zhao Fu was stronger than him, but he would not admit defeat so easily. Ziyan looked at Zhao Fu and said seriously, "I'm looking forward to fighting you." Boom! A massive explosion once again sounded out as Ziyan exploded out with all of his power, forming a violet shockwave that instantly spread out. All of the buildings in the surrounding 1,000 meters were destroyed. Ziyan's clothes were turned into countless pieces by that shockwave, revealing his well-built upper body. A violet circular mark appeared on his forehead, and countless traces of violet aura flowed out and wrapped around his waist and arms, forming a violet ribbon. His body gave off a violet light, and he gave off an incredibly powerful aura. Swish! Ziyan's body instantly disappeared and reappeared above Zhao Fu's head, his palm containing immense power as it blasted towards Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu's body leapt backwards. Bang! A massive sound rang out as Ziyan's palm slammed into the ground, and it was as if a massive hammer had smashed into the ground, causing a large crater to appear in the ground. Zhao Fu was sent flying by that immense power, and he landed stably on the ground as he looked at Ziyan. As a famous expert in Emperor Path College, his strength could not be underestimated. Ziyan turned and saw that Zhao Fu had easily dodged his attack. His body gave off a powerful yang energy as he ferociously rushed at Zhao Fu. Boom! Ziyan slammed his palm forwards, and a massive energy seemed to cause the air to explode as he quickly blasted toward Zhao Fu. Facing this power, Zhao Fu understood that he would not be able to defend against it with his current strength, so he lightly cried out, "Celestial mode. Activate!" Boom! A massive rainbow-colored aura flame erupted around Zhao Fu's body as a rainbow-colored circular magic formation appeared on his forehead. A rainbow-colored rune circle appeared around Zhao Fu, and a massive gale spread out. Bang! The massive energy blasted toward Zhao Fu, while the rainbow-colored rune circle around Zhao Fu gave off a powerful aura and started to spin, easily blocking that massive energy. Ziyan's expression became serious as he continuously slammed out palm after palm toward Zhao Fu, sending terrifying waves of energy toward Zhao Fu as if they could shatter a mountain. Zhao Fu's eyes gave off a rainbow-colored light as he looked at Ziyan in front of him. A massive wave of energy entered the rainbow-colored rune circle, causing it to give off a massive wave of energy and quickly spin. Bang! 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 The massive waves of energy were deflected by a formless energy and slammed into the ground around Zhao Fu. Each wave blasted open a large hole, but they did not harm Zhao Fu at all. The people in the surroundings looked at the two people fighting in shock. Sensing the auras that continuously spread out, they understood that they were Emperor Heaven Realm experts. The city soldiers and city lords had long since arrived, but they did not dare to get close because they recognized Ziyan. They knew how terrifying Ziyan's identity was, so they did not dare to go up and stop him. Even though they did not know who the other person was, they felt that since he dared to fight with Ziyan, his status was definitely not low. Arg! Seeing that he was unable to break through Zhao Fu's defenses even after attacking so many times, Ziyan roared and a massive wave of energy flowed out. He slammed out with both palms, causing a terrifying wave of energy to flow out and turn into a pair of massive violet palms that slammed toward Zhao Fu. Bang! A massive explosion sounded out as the pair of massive violet palms gave off immense power as they slammed against the rune circle. Zhao Fu sent a massive wave of energy into the rune circle, causing it to quickly spin. The violet palms slowly twisted and turned into two waves of violet energy that flew to the sides and dissipated. Zhao Fu said, "It's my turn now." Boom! A massive wave of energy spread out from Zhao Fu's body, and the rune circle spread out, turning into runes around Zhao Fu. They gave off boundless light and formed 30-centimeter long swords of light. An incomparably terrifying sword energy spread out, seeming as if it could destroy everything. There was nothing that could block it. Sensing this terrifying power, Ziyun felt quite startled. At that moment, Zhao Fu looked at Ziyun and slowly stretched out a hand and pressed forwards. Swish, swish, swish. The sound of the air being torn could be heard as the swords of light gave off terrifying power as they shot towards Yun incredibly quickly, leaving behind traces in the air as if they could destroy everything. Boom! Boom! Chapter 2479. Ziyun gave off a massive wave of power and sent it into the ribbon around his waist. The two ends of the ribbon gave off immense power, and it quickly danced, leaving behind afterimages. It was impossible to tell how many there were. Bang! Bang! Massive sounds rang out as the swords of light were shattered by the ribbon, and a powerful sword energy spread out, causing sword gashes to appear on the ground. Even though Ziyun's ribbon had blocked Zhao Fu's swords of light, his body was continuously pushed back. Boom! A massive wave of power flowed out from Zhao Fu's outstretched hand, and the 30-centimeter long swords of light quickly formed a 3-meter-long rainbow sword of light that gave off terrifying sword energy as it flew forwards. Bang! A loud sound rang out as the 7-colored sword of light collided with an afterimage. The afterimage disappeared in an instant, and Ziyun's body was hit by a huge force. His body was sent flying, and he coughed up a large mouthful of blood. Everyone stared at this scene in shock. Ziyun's identity was not only terrifying, but he was also a famous expert from Emperor Path College. He was quite famous in the human domain, and yet he was not a match for that person. Just who was that person? To be able to defeat a peerless genius like Ziyun, that person was definitely a peerless genius. However, no one had ever seen such a genius before. Boom! A massive explosion suddenly sounded out as Ziyun looked furious as he half-squatted on the ground and glared at Zhao Fu. Large amounts of violet aura rose up from his body, covering the surrounding hundreds of meters. Countless strands of purple aura continuously condensed, forming 99 muscular, slender men who were not wearing any clothes. Every single one of them gave off an extremely powerful aura. Boom! Ziyun controlled the 99 men, and they gave off incredibly masculine auras as they charged at Zhao Fu. They brought with them terrifying gales that caused the ground to crack, as if they could destroy an entire world. Zhao Fu did not move at all and grabbed at the air with his hand. Countless runes flashed with light, and countless traces of heaven and earth power flooded out, forming a sword of light that gave off a celestial sword's power. Bang! When the 99 men gave off massive auras and rushed in front of Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu's expression did not change at all. He vigorously slashed out with his sword, and a massive rainbow-colored sword energy slashed against the men's bodies, resulting in a massive explosion. The 99 men were reduced to countless fragments by the rainbow sword light and dissipated. The rainbow sword energy continued towards Ziyun, sending him flying and leaving a 1,000-meter long sword mark on the ground. Ziyun's body fell to the ground. There was a long and thin wound on his chest, and blood kept flowing out. Zhao Fu walked over to Violet Cloud and pointed his sword of light at him as he said, "You've lost." Ziyun had an ugly smile on his face. "I've lost this time. I admit that you're stronger than me. Also, who are you? Why does it give me a familiar feeling?" Zhao Fu put away his sword of light, which turned into countless motes of light and disappeared as he calmly replied, "Do you think I'll tell you?" Seeing Zhao Fu put away his sword of light, Ziyun inwardly let out a sigh of relief and lightly laughed as he said, "Since you can't be my beloved wife, how about I become your beloved wife? I could divorce all the other men for you." Zhao Fu felt quite speechless and looked at Ziyun as he said, "I'm not interested in that sort of thing. Also, if you say another word, I'll kill you right now." Right now, Zhao Fu felt that there was no need to kill him. There was no great enmity between them. and killing him would only bring him more trouble. Ziyan lay on the ground and lightly laughed as he said, all right, I won't say anymore. I really want to know your identity." Zhao Fu turned and walked in another direction as he said, "I'm not interested in talking to you anymore." Ziyan hurriedly called out, "Wait." Zhao Fu frowned and turned to look at Ziyun as he said, "If you really want to die, I'll fulfill your wish." Ziyun immediately smiled as he said, "That's not what I meant. Since you don't like men, you probably like women, right? In actuality, my art can transform extreme yang and unyielding power into extreme yin and gentle power. When that time comes, I'll become a woman. With my looks, I can rank in the top 10 in the human domain, and this will be my first time. As long as you promise me, I'll become a woman and follow you." Become a woman? Zhao Fu looked at Ziyun in confusion. He had never thought that this fellow would suddenly say such a thing. Moreover, he had never thought that apart from liking men, this fellow could also easily become a man or a woman. Ziyun's name felt like it was a gender-neutral name. It seemed that there was a reason for this name. Now that Ziyun was a man, he was incredibly handsome and had a masculine aura. Adding on his perfect figure, countless women would like him. If he became a woman, he would most likely be extremely beautiful and would rank in the top 10 in the human domain. However, no matter how devastatingly beautiful he was, Zhao Fu would not be interested. Even though Zhao Fu loved beauties, he would not want just anyone. Zhao Fu had forgotten that Ziyun was a man just because he had become a woman. Moreover, Zhao Fu had personally seen him do it with other men. This was something that Zhao Fu could not accept. However, thinking about becoming a woman and joining his 6 desires demonic art, if he could not resolve this issue, he would also become a woman. Just thinking about it made him feel quite terrified. Zhao Fu said to Ziyun, "I'm not interested in you, so don't say anymore. Also, I have some matters to attend to, so I'll be leaving now." After saying this, Zhao Fu prepared to leave. Ziyun did not give up and looked at Zhao Fu sincerely as he said, "I really want to know your identity. Please tell me." Zhao Fu turned to look at Ziyun and said, "Didn't you already guess it?" Hearing this, Ziyun did not react at first, but his heart trembled and he stared at Zhao Fu with wide eyes. No wonder he felt that Zhao Fu was so attractive and familiar. It really was him. Ziyun's heart was filled with excitement. It was an indescribable joy, and he was just about to say something. Just as he was about to say something, Zhao Fu did not want to continue chatting with him and turned into a ray of light and disappeared over the horizon. Seeing Zhao Fu disappear, Ziyun immediately looked disappointed. However, thinking about it, he still felt quite excited. He had never thought that he would have the chance to meet Zhao Fu again. He had also never thought that in just a few years, Zhao Fu would become so powerful. He had defeated him so easily, and he felt that Zhao Fu had not even used his full strength. However, thinking about how much of a commotion he had caused in the Heaven Awakened world and how the entire world was looking for him, it was not too surprising that he had grown so quickly. "Husband, are you all right?" A few coquettish men walked over and asked with concern. Ziyun looked at them and made a decision. He gave a trace of a smile as he said, "You can all leave. I can go wherever I want. You're not here, so you belong to me." Chapter 2480. Husband, what's wrong? Do we do something wrong? The beautiful men said in a panic. It was evident that they did not want to be separated from Ziyun. Ziyun smiled and said, "I want to go find my true love." The beautiful men understood Ziyun's intentions, and extremely disappointed expressions appeared on their faces. They did not dare to force Ziyun any further. Ziyun stood up from the ground and looked at the bewitching men. He waved his hand, and a few rings flew over to them as he smiled and said, "You've followed me for so long, so I won't mistreat you. There are some treasures in this storage ring. Take them." The beautiful men nodded lightly and picked up the rings floating in front of them. Ziyun did not hold back at all and turned into a violet ray of light as he disappeared over the horizon. An hour later, Ziyun appeared within a mountain cave and sat cross-legged on the ground. His body gave off countless traces of violet aura. This was the first time Ziyan had done something like this, so he had to be very careful and could not allow anything to go wrong. The violet aura continuously flowed out from Ziyan's body and wrapped around him, forming a violet ball of mist that covered Ziyan's body. Countless traces of violet aura flowed out, and the ball of mist gradually became corporeal, becoming a violet orb. Within the orb, Ziyan gave off an extremely firm and yang aura, and there was an orb of violet flame within his body. This orb of flame was the source of Ziyan's power. The violet flame also gave off an extremely firm and yang aura, but following this, Ziyan placed his hands before his chest and performed a few hand seals, causing the orb of violet flame to go through changes. A blue tongue of flame appeared within the violet flame, and an extremely soft and aura started to spread out. The blue flame continuously became bigger and bigger, while the violet flame continuously became smaller and smaller. The power that the violet aura gave off also became smaller and smaller. Ziyan's body started to change. His long black hair became violet, and his extremely handsome face gradually became that of a woman's. His violet eyes became a pair of sapphire-like blue eyes. His slender and muscular body also started to change. His muscles disappeared, and his skin became white and smooth, and a pair of massive things grew out from his chest. Finally, the violet orb split open, and countless traces of blue light shined out. A woman who looked even more beautiful than a celestial fairy appeared. She had a peerlessly beautiful face and a tall and mature figure. Her breasts were incredibly large and alluring, and she gave off an enchanting and gentle aura that could move countless men. Now, Ziyan's appearance had greatly changed, and it was as if she was a completely different person. She had been right before. With her current looks, she would definitely rank in the top 10 in the human domain. She was many times more beautiful than when she was a man. Next was her figure. Her figure was completely different from before and did not have any muscles at all. It was snow white and smooth, and it had a lustrous luster to it. The most shocking thing was that Ziyan's chest had undergone such a huge change. It was truly astonishing. Ziyan chuckled as she looked at the changes in herself. Her voice had changed as well. It had become extremely soft, the kind of voice that could make a man's heart beat faster with just a few words. Following this, Ziyan put on a light blue robe and chased after Zhao Fu. She also changed her name to Lanyu. After leaving the city, Zhao Fu continued on his way to Spirit Realm. At this time, Zhao Fu was flying in the sky towards another empire. He wanted to use this empire's teleportation formation to teleport to a further place. If the teleportation formations of the various empires were connected, Zhao Fu felt that the time it would take to reach Spirit Realm would be reduced by 70%. Most of the time would be spent flying through the border regions. It was a pity that the teleportation formations of the various empires could not be connected. If one empire used the teleportation formation to attack another empire, it would be very dangerous, as it could directly teleport into the empire. Boom! A massive explosion suddenly sounded out. Zhao Fu's expression froze, and he stopped and looked to the side. This explosion seemed to be caused by a battle, and it was not far from him. Who was fighting here? The person who was fighting didn't look weak either. Zhao Fu thought about it and decided not to go. Other people's battles had nothing to do with him, so Zhao Fu decided to continue flying. Clang! A massive sword hum suddenly sounded out, and a sword light containing terrifying power slashed towards Zhao Fu from a distance. It was incredibly fast, and it happened in an instant. Zhao Fu stretched out a hand, and a massive wave of power flowed out of his palm as a black defensive barrier appeared. Bang! A massive sound rang out as the sword light slammed into the defensive barrier, turning into a massive wave of sword wind that blew out. The defensive barrier was not damaged at all. Zhao Fu frowned. This sword light was not attacking him, but he had been hit by the shock waves. It was as if one person had attacked another person, and the attack was so powerful that the people nearby had been hit by the shock waves. Zhao Fu felt that this wave of power was quite familiar, and he did not hesitate for long. Zhao Fu flew to the side. He saw a beautiful woman in green with a sharp aura. She held a green sword and was fighting with a white-clothed, domineering-looking young man. Zhao Fu had never thought that these two people knew each other and had enmity with each other. The woman was called Jian Liyue, and she was Jian Yue's little sister. Zhao Fu had almost been captured by her big sister, Jian Yue. Her big sister was incredibly powerful and had comprehended a powerful sword intent. She was also an Emperor Heaven Realm expert and was even more powerful than Violet Cloud. Back then, Zhao Fu had used her to fight with Feng Qianghua to escape. The man was called Song Kongyue, and he was the 9th emperor of the Song Sky Empire. He was incredibly powerful and could enter the top 30 of the human domain's new rankings. During the examination at the entrance of the Emperor Path College, because his wife had looked at Zhao Fu, Song Kongyue had wanted to kill Zhao Fu, but he had been stopped by his wife. Zhao Fu had some impression of his wife. She was a peerlessly beautiful woman in a pink palace dress, and she had an alluring figure. She was called Xiang Qianqian and cultivated a terrifying charm technique. Why are they fighting here? Zhao Fu felt quite surprised and thought about it. He had met a few students from the Emperor Path College here, so he took out his map and found that he was quite close to the Emperor Path College. Speaking of the Emperor Path College, Zhao Fu could not help but think of the higher being who had helped him greatly. Should he go and personally thank him? This could be quite dangerous. This was the Emperor Path College, and it had countless experts. On the surface, there were 9 higher beings, and if his identity was exposed, he would not even have a chance to escape. Top. Chapter 2481. Zhao Fu trusted that higher being. If he wanted to expose his identity, he would have done so long ago. However, he had been hiding it for him this entire time. Seeing Zhao Fu suddenly appear, the two people stopped. This was mainly because Jian Yue had stopped. In the previous battle, Jian Yue had a great advantage, while Song Kongyue was at a disadvantage. Jian Yue thought that Zhao Fu had come to help Song Kongyue, so she said coldly, "Leave immediately, or I'll chop off your head." Blood flowed out of Song Kongyue's mouth as he looked at Zhao Fu and said domineeringly, "Help me defeat that stinky woman and you'll be rewarded handsomely." Zhao Fu came back to his senses and looked at the two people and could not help but laugh. Song Kongyue felt quite furious and said, "What are you laughing at, you bastard? Do you know who this person is?" Jian Yue came to her senses and realized that Zhao Fu was not here to help Song Kongyue, but someone who Song Kongyue knew. Zhao Fu laughed as he replied, "I'm laughing at how you don't know your place. Do you know that you're seeking death?" Hearing Zhao Fu's words, the two people's expressions changed. It seemed that this person's identity was not simple, and he seemed to know them. For him to dare to speak to them like that, his identity must be quite terrifying. Jian Yue's expression was cold as she asked, "Who are you?" Zhao Fu turned and smiled as he looked at Jian Yue and said, "I don't think you know me, but there's a feud between me and your big sister." Jian Yue felt quite startled. Since there was a feud between him and her big sister, it was possible that he was her big sister's enemy. Since he could become her big sister's enemy, it was possible that he was much more powerful than her. Song Kongyue inwardly let out a sigh of relief. Since there was a feud between him and Jian Yue, it meant that they had a common enemy. His tone became slightly more courteous as he said, "This stinky woman dared to make trouble for me. You and I can take care of her. I'll leave her to you." Zhao Fu could not help but lightly laugh. "I don't like you. There's a feud between us." Song Kongyue's expression changed. He had not expected Zhao Fu to say something like that. Moreover, Zhao Fu had said that he had a grudge against him. Why did it seem like he had never seen this person before? Now that Jian Liuxin was slightly relieved, Zhao Fu also had a grudge with Song Kongyue. Song Kongyue was also one of his targets. Zhao Fu smiled and said, "What do you think I should do with the two of you?" Jian Liyue said coldly, "Then let me see your power and see if you have the qualifications to say such things." Clang! Jian Luiyue stabbed her sword towards Zhao Fu, and the sword gave off a sword light that gave off a sharpness that could cut through steel. Zhao Fu gave a trace of a smile as he looked at Jian Luiyue condescendingly. He formed a sword finger with his hand and sent a wave of power into it. The sword finger gave off a faint sword light as he slashed out. Boom! A massive sword light containing terrifying sword power slashed forwards, seeming to be able to slash space apart. Some black marks appeared in space. Bang! Jian Luiyue was sent flying back 10 or so meters, and her expression was quite unsightly as she said, "You really are an Emperor Heaven Realm expert." Before, Jian Luiyue and Song Kongyue's cultivations had been higher than Zhao Fu's, and after a few years of cultivation, they had broken through to the divine realm. This speed was incredibly fast for most people, and they were rare geniuses. However, after the divine realm was the extreme divine realm, and after the extreme divine realm was the Emperor Heaven realm. Just in terms of cultivation, there was such a large gap between them and Zhao Fu, so it was quite easy for Zhao Fu to deal with them. Hearing this, Zhao Fu smiled and said, "Do I have a right to say such things now?" Jian Luiyue coldly harumphed, "What do you want to do to me?" Zhao Fu looked at Jian Luiyue's figure and beautiful looks, causing a look of disgust to appear on Jian Luiyue's face. At that moment, Zhao Fu gave a trace of a smile as he said, "Since your big sister has offended me, as her sister, you should repay for her." Jian Luiyue said furiously, "Don't even think about it." Zhao Fu lightly smiled as he said, "I don't want to waste any more time. Are you going to take the initiative, or do you want me to force you?" "Husband, I brought people over." A flirtatious voice sounded out as a beautiful and voluptuous woman wearing a pink palace dress flew over with an ordinary-looking young man, an elderly man, and a middle-aged man. The three of them all gave off Emperor Heaven Realm auras and were most likely Emperor Heaven Realm experts. Song Kongyue inwardly let out a sigh of relief. Now that they had 3 Emperor Heaven Realm experts on their side, they did not have to fear Zhao Fu. Jian Luiyue's expression became even more unsightly. She could not stop Zhao Fu by himself, and now there were 3 Emperor Heaven Realm experts on Song Kongyue's side. Jian Luiyue had come to settle scores with Song Kongyue. This was because Song Kongyue had heavily injured one of her junior apprentice brothers. Her junior apprentice brother had looked at his wife too much, so Song Kongyue had broken her junior apprentice brother's arms and legs and stepped on his head. He had humiliated her junior apprentice brother, causing him to lose his dignity and suffer great humiliation. Now, her junior apprentice brother seemed to have become a completely different person. He became depressed and did not want to see strangers, and he was not as cheerful and considerate as before. After finding out where Song Kongyue was, she started to attack Song Kongyue. Song Kongyue understood that he was not a match for Jian Luiyue, so he had Xiang Qianqian call for people and brought Zhao Fu here. Not only had she not been able to save her junior apprentice brother, but she had also put herself in danger. Xiang Qianqian gave a trace of a smile as she flew towards Song Kongyue, but suddenly, the power within her body became incredibly excited. Her heart rate sped up, and her body started to heat up as her face became bright red. "What's going on?" Xiang Qianqian looked quite confused and did not know why she had such a reaction. She had had this reaction a few years ago, and it had been because of that mysterious man. Now, she was constantly thinking about that mysterious man, and she regretted not leaving with him back then. Now, she was thinking about him every day. After finding out who that mysterious man was, she felt even more excited and regretful. After all, that mysterious man was the possessor of the 7 Emperor stars that had shaken the entire world. He could be said to be the #1 person in the Heaven Awakened world, and he was valued by countless factions. He was just that terrifying, and this made her feel even more infatuated with that man. At the same time, she felt quite happy that she had such a strong reaction to that man. Xiang Qianqian felt that that man was her true man. As for Song Kongyue, even though he treated her very well, they were only together because of the marriage alliance between the 2 factions. She did not like Song Kongyue very much. Even though Xiang Qianqian and Song Kongyue were quite intimate, Xiang Qianqian was still a virgin. She had been waiting for an opportunity to meet that man again. P. Chapter 2482. Afterwards, she would give her first time to him, to the man she truly acknowledged. It was a pity that after so many years, she had not been able to wait for this opportunity. She wanted to find that mysterious man, but no one in the world could find that man, so it was impossible for her to find that man. After waiting for so long, the massive disappointment had almost caused her to give up, and she did not have much hope. However, she had never thought that she would have such an intense reaction today, making it so that she could not even react in time. The opportunity she had been waiting for so many years had suddenly appeared. Xiang Qianqian hurriedly looked around, looking for that person. She found that it was still the same man, and he wore a cloak and gave off an even more alluring aura. After finally seeing him, Xiang Qianqian's eyes became moist, and she wanted to leap into that person's embrace. "You three, kill him!" A voice cut off Xiang Qianqian's thoughts. It was Song Kongyue giving an order to the three Emperor Heaven Realm experts. The three Emperor Heaven Realm experts looked at Zhao Fu and immediately gave off massive power as they rushed at Zhao Fu. Xiang Qianqian hurriedly cried out, "Don't!" However, the three Emperor Heaven Realm experts were Song Kongyue's people and would not listen to her orders. They continued to give off immense power as they rushed at Zhao Fu. The three of them quickly arrived in front of Zhao Fu. An ordinary-looking young man punched out, bringing with him a massive gale, as if he could shatter a mountain. The middle-aged man slapped out with a palm, sending out terrifying power. The elderly man's claw-like hand grabbed towards Zhao Fu with shocking power. Zhao Fu condescendingly looked at the three Emperor Heaven Realm experts in front of him, and a massive wave of power gathered in his arm. He clenched his fist, and a black aura flame appeared around it as he vigorously punched out. Bang! A massive explosion sounded out as the two sides' powers collided, causing a massive gale to blow out. The three Emperor Heaven Realm experts were forced back a few steps before stopping and looking at Zhao Fu in confusion. Meanwhile, Zhao Fu stood his ground and did not move. The others also looked quite shocked. They had never thought that Zhao Fu would have such a great advantage against three people by himself. This person was simply too powerful. A smile appeared on Xiang Qianqian's face as she let out a breath of relief. Jian Luiyue did not hesitate and turned into a ray of sword light as she shot towards the horizon. Now that Zhao Fu had three other Emperor Heaven Realm experts blocking him, it was perfect for her to escape. No matter who won, it would not benefit him. Seeing that Jian Luiyue was about to escape, Zhao Fu stretched out a hand, and a massive wave of power flowed out, turning into a massive palm that grabbed towards Jian Luiyue. Jian Luiyue immediately felt a force binding her, and her originally fast speed slowed down. Just as the black hand was about to grab her, Jian Luiyue felt a force binding her. She took out a sword talisman and stuck it on her body. Clang! A massive sword hum sounded out as the talisman paper gave off countless rays of sword light. A massive sword energy covered Jian Luiyue's body and quickly shot forwards, slashing apart Zhao Fu's sealing power. It drew a thin line in midair and disappeared into the horizon. This was Jian Luiyue's life-saving talisman. As someone from such a powerful faction, it was impossible that she did not have any life-saving methods. Song Kongyue felt that the situation was quite bad and flew up and grabbed Xiang Qianqian's hand. He activated a jade medallion and turned into a ray of light as he shot towards the horizon. Just as Zhao Fu wanted to stop them, the three Emperor Heaven Realm experts unleashed powerful attacks, causing Zhao Fu to stop. Seeing Jian Luiyue and Song Kongyue run away, Zhao Fu felt quite bored. He had wanted to teach them a lesson as revenge for what had happened in the past. In the end, he looked at the three nervous Emperor Heaven Realm experts and said, "I'll give you 3 seconds to scram." Zhao Fu did not want to waste his strength on them. The three Emperor Heaven Realm experts hurriedly turned and flew to the side. They knew that Zhao Fu was far more powerful than them and could easily kill them, so they had been prepared to be killed. However, they had never thought that Zhao Fu would tell them to scram and not kill them. As such, they naturally happily scrammed. Now that Jian Luiyue and Song Kongyue had run away, Zhao Fu gave up on going to the Emperor Path College. He could not stay here for too long, so Zhao Fu quickly flew away and left this place. Jian Luiyue returned to the sword sect in a wretched state and just happened to see her big sister, Jian Yue. Seeing her little sister in such a wretched state, Jian Yue asked caringly, "Luiyue, what did you end up like this? What happened?" Jian Luiyue gave a simple explanation of what had happened before asking, "Big sis, do you know who that person is? How come I don't know that you have enmity with such a powerful person?" Jian Yue looked quite confused. She did not know when she had enmity with such a person. After hearing from her little sister that that person always wore a cloak, she suddenly thought of something and her expression fell. Seeing her big sister like this, Jian Luiyue felt quite startled and asked, "What is it, big sis?" Jian Yue's expression was serious as she said, "You fought with him and should have some of his aura on you. Give me a bit." "Oh." Jian Luiyue nodded before grabbing at her body and pulling out a few traces of black aura. The black aura gathered into a small orb, and Jian Luiyue handed the orb to her big sister. Jian took the orb of aura and felt a sense of familiarity. She then took out a crystal ball, which contained a trace of black and blood-red sword chi. Sensing that orb of aura, the trace of black and blood-red sword chi immediately became excited and moved about within the crystal ball because it had seen its owner. Jian Luiyue asked in confusion, "Big sis, isn't this the sword intent you've been comprehending? Why is there such an intense reaction to this aura? Do you know that person?" Jian Yue looked at her little sister seriously and said, "I know that person, and you've heard of him before." Jian Luiyue looked quite confused as she asked, "Who is that?" Jian Yue said, "That person is the person with 7 emperor stars, a terrifying figure who can shake the entire 3 worlds." Hearing this, massive waves crashed in Jian Yue's heart, and her mind went blank. She had never thought that she would meet such a terrifying genius who was watched by the entire world. After a while, Jian Luiyue said nervously, "Big sis, what do you think we should do about such a big matter? Should we tell Father and the elders that that person has returned to the heaven domain by himself?" Jian Yue thought for a while before replying, "This matter is too big, and the fewer people who know, the better. Let's not tell anyone for now, or else once news gets out, the entire heaven domain will be shaken. Moreover, even if we tell Father and the others, facing such a terrifying person, it will be difficult for them to deal with him." Apex. Chapter 2483. Jian Luiyue asked, "Big sis, what do you think we should do? We can't just pretend that nothing has happened, right?" Jian Yue thought for a moment before replying seriously, "I plan to go find him and comprehend that celestial slaughter sword intent." Jian Yue felt quite startled and said, "Big sis, are you sure? That person is incredibly terrifying, and in just a few years, he surpassed me and became an Emperor Heaven Realm expert. Perhaps you won't be a match for him." Jian Yue replied, "I understand, but I still want to go find him. I want to see just how powerful he is and how big of a gap there is between me and the number 1 person in the Heaven Awakened world." Seeing that her big sister had made up her mind, Jian Yue did not try to dissuade her anymore. She thought about it and said, "Big sis, can I come with you?" Jian Yue looked at Jian Yue in surprise and said, "Why? You should know that it's quite dangerous." Jian Yue explained, "I also want to grasp that celestial slaughter sword intent, and I'm also quite curious about that number 1 person in the Heaven Awakened world. I want to understand some information about him and why he's so terrifying." Jian Yue gave a trace of smile and said, "Let's go together then. However, we should make some preparations." Jian Yue smiled and nodded. Over at the other side, Song Kongyue brought Xiang Qianqian back to his faction and let out a sigh of relief. Now that they were back at their faction, they did not have to worry about Zhao Fu attacking. However, Song Kongyue's expression became cold. Now that they had returned to their faction, they could send even more powerful people to kill that person. If an Emperor Heaven Realm expert was not a match for him, he would send a Void Realm expert to kill him. If a Void Realm expert could not kill him, he would send a Spirit Realm expert to kill him. With his status, he would be able to easily invite a Spirit Realm expert to kill him. Just as Song Kongyue was about to go invite a Spirit Realm expert, he suddenly found that his fiancée was quite dispirited. A trace of a smile appeared on Song Kongyue's face as he went up and hugged Xiang Qianqian as he comforted her, saying, "Qianqian, don't be afraid. That person won't dare to come here." Song Kongyue greatly liked Xiang Qianqian and treated her as the most important person in his life. He would even give up his life for her. As such, he would feel uncomfortable whenever others looked at Xiang Qianqian. Xiang Qianqian struggled out of Song Kongyue's embrace and said, "I have some matters to attend to at the Myriad Desire Palace." Song Kongyue had a strange expression as he asked caringly, "What's the matter? I'll go back with you." Xiang Qianqian had already made up her mind to look for that person. She did not want to suffer the pain of missing him anymore. Saying that she would return to the Palace of Myriad Desire was just a lie to Song Kongyue. Naturally, she would not agree to go back with him. "No need. This time, I want to go back alone. Also, I'm leaving soon." Seeing how anxious Xiang Qianqian was, Song Kongyue did not insist and said, "All right, I'll wait for you here. Come back soon." Xiang Qianqian glanced at Song Kongyue and flew away without saying a word. This made Song Kongyue feel very uncomfortable. He did not know why Xiang Qianqian had suddenly become like this. Was it because he was angry? Currently, there were 3 groups of people chasing after Zhao Fu from different directions. The first group, Lan Yu, had arrived at the place where the battle had taken place. Looking at the traces of battle around her, she felt quite confused. However, she did not pay too much mind because the traces of battle here were not caused by Zhao Fu. After coming here, Zhao Fu had already hidden his aura, making it impossible for Lan Yu to obtain any information about him. Before, Lan Yu had been relying on the remnant aura that Zhao Fu had left behind to chase after Zhao Fu. After thinking for a while, Lan Yu saw that Zhao Fu had continued to head in a certain direction, most likely heading toward a certain place. After going in that direction and passing through the heaven domain, he would reach the spirit domain. Thinking of the spirit domain, Lan Yu suddenly thought of the Emperor Stars. Now, Zhao Fu had awakened the Emperor Stars of 6 races, and only the Water Race's Emperor Star and the Spirit Race's Emperor Star were left. Could it be that he was going to the spirit domain to awaken the Spirit Race's Emperor Star? Thinking about that, Lan Yu felt quite startled before a beautiful smile appeared on her face. As expected from the man she had fallen for, he had such terrifying power. After awakening the Spirit Race's Emperor Star, he would have 8 Emperor Stars. As for whether or not he could awaken the Spirit Race's Emperor Star, that was nonsense. Her man had already awakened the Emperor Stars of 6 races, so how could he not awaken the Spirit Race's Emperor Star? That was almost impossible. After finding out what Zhao Fu's goal was, Lan Yu gave a trace of a smile and quickly chased after him. Not too long after Lan Yu left, Jian Yue brought her little sister, Jian Luiyue, over. Jian Luiyue sensed the surroundings and frowned as she said, "Big sis, that person's aura has disappeared. Now that his aura has disappeared, how are we going to find him?" Jian Yue took out the crystal ball that contained a trace of celestial murdering sword intent. The trace of celestial murdering sword chi seemed to sense something and went in a certain direction. Looking in that direction, Jian Yue sank in her thoughts. Jian Luiyue asked in confusion, "What is it, big sis?" Seeing that the celestial murdering sword intent is reacting in that direction, that person most likely went in that direction. Jian Yue lightly nodded. "I know that he went in that direction, but I feel quite curious. After disappearing for so long, why did he suddenly reappear? Moreover, he's going in the direction of the spirit domain. Hearing this, Jian Lue started to think about why Zhao Fu had suddenly appeared in the heaven domain. She suddenly thought of something and said in shock, "Big sis, that person has already awakened a few races' supreme emperor stars. He might be going to the spirit domain to awaken the spirit race's emperor star." Jian Yue said seriously, I think so too. I think so too. If he really awakened the spirit race's emperor star, he would have 8 emperor stars. Even I feel a trace of reverence towards such a person. Jian Lue said with a trace of anticipation, "Let's hurry in that direction. I want to personally see him awaken the 8th emperor star." Jian Yue nodded and flew off with Jian Lue. In the end, Xiang Qianqian also arrived. She did not sense Zhao Fu's aura, but she had a special method to sense where Zhao Fu was going. She closed her eyes and used her body to sense, and soon, she sensed a direction that made her feel quite excited. A trace of a smile appeared on Xiang Qianqian's face as she quickly flew off. Her body greatly reacted to Zhao Fu, and she could use this sense to find Zhao Fu. However, Zhao Fu did not know about this. After flying for a while, he felt that there was nothing out of the ordinary, so he let down his guard and did not hide his aura as he continued to fly in the direction of the spirit domain. Peak. Chapter 2484. After 2 of them, Zhao Fu came to a new place. This place was quite close to the devil domain, so there were many devil race people here. The fiend race was very competitive and had built many beast battle arenas. Every day, many people fought in the beast battle arenas, and there were many fiend race spectators. It was the most popular place here. Zhao Fu passed by this place and did not pay much attention to it. However, he suddenly heard that there was a dueling competition here, and whoever won would be able to obtain a few precious devil race treasures. One of them was an Emperor Heaven Devil Horse stone, which Zhao Fu was most interested in. Emperor Heaven Devil Horses were extremely powerful devil horses. They were tall and powerful and gave off Emperor's power, and they gave off a noble and powerful aura. This was because they had an imperial bloodline. Even though it was not a pure imperial bloodline, it gave them powerful Emperor's power, allowing them to suppress other devil beasts of the same realm. There were very few Emperor Heaven Devil Horses, and they were rarely seen. Because of their bloodlines, they were unable to turn into human forms, so they always looked like horses. As such, having an Emperor Heaven Devil Horse as a mount was something that gave one face and made others envious. The Emperor Heaven Devil Horse stone was condensed from the Emperor Heaven Devil Horse's power after it died. If it was given to another horse, it would obtain a bit of the Emperor Heaven Devil Horse's bloodline and obtain Emperor's power. It was said that this Emperor Heaven Devil Horse stone was incredibly powerful and was not an ordinary Emperor Heaven Devil Horse stone. Hearing about the Emperor Heaven Devil Horse stone, Zhao Fu thought that if he could obtain this Emperor Heaven Devil Horse stone and fuse it into a horse den, those horses would have the Emperor Heaven Devil Horse bloodline and could become mounts for an Emperor's cavalry corps. With the aura of an Emperor's bloodline and horses with the Emperor's bloodline, they would be a perfect match, and they would be able to unleash the full power of a cavalry corps. Zhao Fu had seen how powerful a cavalry corps was, and he had been thinking about how to develop a cavalry corps. As such, after hearing about this, he stopped and decided to participate in the dueling competition. A while later, Zhao Fu went to the life-saving counter. There was a devil race person with a goat's head and a human body sitting at the counter. He held a pen with a stack of white paper. When he saw Zhao Fu walking in front of him, he spoke in a calm tone. "Tell me your name and cultivation. I will arrange a duel with you." Zhao Fu said, "Demon Knight, Emperor Heaven Realm Cultivation." The devil race person looked quite surprised before giving a smile and standing up as he respectfully bowed and said, "So, it's an Emperor Heaven Realm Cultivator. Please don't blame me." Zhao Fu replied softly, "Nothing, I want to participate in this duel competition." The sheep-headed devil race person smiled as he said, "Sir, according to the rules, please show off your Emperor Heaven Realm strength." Hearing this, Zhao Fu nodded and gave off an Emperor Heaven Realm power. Sensing the terrifying power that Zhao Fu gave off, the goat devil race's expression became even more respectful. Even though Emperor Heaven Realm cultivators were not rare here, they were still quite powerful. My lord, because you're an Emperor Heaven Realm expert, you don't need to participate in the preliminaries and can directly participate in the finals. Marang, have people prepare a guest room for my lord. Because the duel has just begun, my lord will need some time to rest. Zhao Fu said, I understand. Following this, the sheep-headed devil race person called over a young man with a sheep head and brought Zhao Fu to a room. This room was at the top of a beast arena and could directly see the duel below. There were many similar rooms in the surroundings, and apart from the competitors in these rooms, everyone else had prestigious statuses and had come to watch the duel. Within the beast arena, there was a devil race person with a lion's head and a devil race person with a bull's horn fighting. Both of them were divine realm experts, and the minimum requirement for this duel was the divine realm, and the maximum was the Emperor Heaven Realm. As such, as an Emperor Heaven Realm expert, Zhao Fu could directly participate in the finals and did not need to participate in the preliminaries. An ordinary Emperor Heaven Realm cultivator would be able to suppress a Divine Realm cultivator. This would not be too surprising, and there was nothing to see. The sheep-headed young man said respectfully, Sir, if you have any questions or requests, you can tell me. Zhao Fu lightly nodded, indicating that he understood. Following this, he started to feel quite bored. As an Emperor Heaven Realm expert, Zhao Fu was not very interested in watching a group of Divine Realm experts fight. However, the Devil Race people on the lower levels cheered excitedly, and the scene was quite lively. To them, a Heavenly Realm expert was an extraordinary expert. Seeing these experts fight intensely, they were naturally very excited and moved. Bang! Bang! Muffled sounds rang out. The two Devil Race cultivators were both strength type. They continuously punched each other ferociously, causing strong gales to blow out. What was worth mentioning was that they could not use weapons in this duel and could only rely on their own bodies to fight. After all, the Devil Race's bodies were incredibly powerful and could unleash great destructive power. Roar! The Devil Race person with a bull's horn vigorously punched out, and a massive azure bull's head gave off ferocious power as it smashed towards the lion person. Bang! The lion person blocked with his hands, but he was sent flying by that massive force. He coughed up a large mouthful of blood and did not even have the strength to get up. In the end, the referee went up and declared the bull-horned young man's victory. Following the bull-horned young man's victory, the surroundings once again burst into an uproar. Countless people excitedly cried out, expressing their joy. Zhao Fu watched on in boredom. Even though the battles were quite exciting, they could not attract Zhao Fu's attention. Next, a savage-looking man in white competed with a well-dressed big man. Bang! 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 The two of them quickly started to fight intensely. The big man continuously punched out, sending out a massive fist energy that could shatter steel, while the savage-looking young man sent some power into his palms, causing them to give off a pale light that turned into two sabers of light that slashed towards the big man. In the end, the savage-looking young man won, sending the big man flying with a single strike. A deep gash appeared on the big man's chest, from which blood continuously flowed out. Following this, the referee ordered people to carry the big man off the stage and declared the savage-looking young man's victory. Zhao Fu still felt quite bored, and after a few more battles, a cute-looking girl with two black dragon horns and her long black hair tied into two braids came to the arena. Her opponent was a handsome-looking young man in white with two dragon horns on his head. Both of them were from the dragon race. Everyone felt quite excited. The dragon race was one of the most powerful races in the devil race, and the battle power they gave off was not weak at all. Peak. Chapter 2485. The cute-looking young woman lightly harumphed and said in a lowly voice, I never thought that I would meet you so early. Today, I'll let you have a taste of Evil Nine's power. The handsome young man looked at the cute-looking young woman and said, I also want to fight with you and see what qualifications you have to receive Grandpa Azure Dragon's attention." Hearing this, the dragon race young woman angrily rushed at the young man, giving off a ferocious aura. The dragon race young woman quickly reached the young man and gripped her hand into a fist as she punched towards the young man with enough power to shatter mountains. The young man did not move at all and also gripped his other hand into a fist as he punched out with enough power to shatter space. Bang! When the two small fists collided with each other, a violent gust of wind instantly spread out, causing the ground to crack. The young man and young woman both retreated a few steps, and their expressions became serious. They then started to fight intensely, causing powerful shock waves to ripple out. Everyone felt quite shocked. These two seemingly small bodies had such terrifying power, as expected from people from the dragon race. Zhao Fu looked at the young woman and sensed that her aura and voice were quite familiar, as if he had heard them somewhere before. Bang! A muffled explosion sounded out as the young woman dodged the kick and punched the young man's abdomen. The terrifying power sent the young man flying, and he crashed to the ground and coughed up a mouthful of blood. The young woman continued to rush at the young man incredibly quickly. The young man quickly got up and looked at the young woman from the dragon race rushing over. His body gave off boundless white light as a white dragon appeared above his head. It was 10 or so meters long and gave off a powerful dragon's might. Seeing the young man release his power, the young woman rushed at him while giving off boundless black light, and a black dragon appeared above her head. This black dragon was 10 or so meters long and had a pair of iron-like horns. It had 6 blood-red eyes and looked quite terrifying. It was covered with black scales and gave off a powerful and evil aura. Seeing this black dragon, Zhao Fu felt quite startled and suddenly remembered who this young woman was. Bang! At that moment, a massive explosion sounded out as the two dragons collided with terrifying power, resulting in an intense explosion. Countless rays of light shot out, and a destructive power spread out, causing the ground to collapse. Shockwaves spread out, and the two of them were lying on the ground, looking quite wretched. Blood flowed out of the corners of their mouths, and they got up from the ground, continuing to give off powerful auras as they charged at each other. When Zhao Fu saw the girl, he gave a happy smile. Zhao Fu had never thought that he would meet her here. This young girl had known Zhao Fu for a long time, and she was someone who had known Zhao Fu around the same time as Xianru. She was also a powerful lord, and back then, even Zhao Fu had to avoid her. She was a six-eyed flood dragon. The six-eyed flood dragon was once the lord of the Forest of Horrors region, and it was one of the most terrifying creatures in the region. Back then, in order to gather spirit herbs, Zhao Fu had gone into the depths of the Forest of Horrors to meet the six-eyed flood dragon, and they had become friends. Afterwards, the six-eyed flood dragon had left Qin and disappeared. Back then, Qin was still quite weak, and the northern side of China had not been unified yet. It had been 10 or so years since then, and Zhao Fu had never thought that he would meet her here. Zhao Fu had always felt quite curious as to where the six-eyed flood dragon had gone and why it seemed to have disappeared. Now, Zhao Fu understood that she had come here. If it wasn't for the fact that he had just happened to pass by, he might not have been able to meet her. The six-eyed flood dragon was no longer a flood dragon, but a dragon. It was called the demonic god flood dragon, and it was a king-class, lord-class devil beast. She had turned into her human form, and if she hadn't condensed that black dragon, Zhao Fu might not have been able to recognize her. Roar! A massive dragon's roar sounded out as a white dragon rushed out of the young man's palm. The white dragon formed a white dragon-shaped saber that gave off a terrifying destructive power. This dragon-shaped saber was a weapon condensed from power, and it was not a true weapon, so it could be used. The dragon race young man held the saber and gave off ferocious power as he rushed at the dragon race woman. His aura was quite terrifying, and he looked like a ferocious beast. The dragon race young man coldly stood there, and a powerful evil power spread out from her body as 6 massive blood-red eyes appeared behind her, giving off a blood-red light. Boom! The 6 blood-red eyes shot out 6 massive blood-red beams of light that gave off evil and terrifying power. They were incredibly fast and ferociously shot towards the dragon race young man. The dragon race young man sent large amounts of dragon energy into his hand, and the white saber gave off a terrifying saber light as he vigorously slashed forwards, sending out a massive white saber light. Bang! A massive explosion sounded out as the blood-red beam of light and saber light collided. A terrifying energy barrier spread out, covering the entire competition venue, and the ground continuously shattered. The ground violently trembled as countless rocks and sand flew everywhere. Everyone fell silent as they looked at the competition venue in shock. This battle was quite terrifying, and both of them were incredibly powerful. Now, who had won? Countless people looked at the competition venue in anticipation, and after the shock waves dissipated, the dragon race young man was lying on the ground. Blood flowed out of his chest, dyeing his clothes red. Countless people could not help but cry out in excitement, and the scene once again became raucous. The dragon race young man had won. The dragon race young man gave a pleased smile as she looked at the dragon race young man on the ground and said, "Now you know how powerful I am, right? In the future, be more well-behaved, or I'll teach you a lesson again." The dragon race young man's expression was quite unsightly, but he did not say anything. He had lost to someone else, and he was weaker than her, so he did not have the right to retort. There were a few dragon race young men and women on the viewing platforms, and looking at the pleased dragon race young man, they felt quite angry. It was evident that they did not like the dragon race young man. The referee ordered people to carry the dragon race young man off the stage and announced the dragon race young man's victory. The dragon race young man happily skipped to the side, and her 2 little braids swayed back and forth. Adding on her terrifying face, she looked quite cute. The referee activated a magic formation, and a massive wave of energy spread out. The destroyed competition venue quickly repaired itself and returned to its original, undamaged state. Zhao Fu looked at the dragon race young man, leaving, and gave a trace of smile. He left the room on the top floor and walked towards where the dragon race young man had gone. Boom! Boom! Chapter 2486. Stop, Evil 9. Just as the Dragon Pearl Girl left the Beast Arena, a few young men and women from the dragon race angrily called out to her. The dragon race young woman turned to look at them and said, "What do you want?" A young man said angrily, "Evil 9, you were too heavy-handed and heavily injured, White Dragon. We're all Grandpa Azure Dragon's children. Don't think that just because Grandpa Azure Dragon likes you, you can do whatever you want." The dragon race young woman lightly harumphed. "That was in the arena. I definitely could not hold back, or else I would have lost. Also, do you have a problem with me? I'm not afraid of you." A young woman with blue dragon horns said coldly, "Evil 9, you're indeed very powerful, but don't be too arrogant. Do you think you can stop us? You'd best be more obedient." The dragon race young woman said arrogantly, "I'm not afraid of you. If you have the ability, then come and defeat me." The young women and women became even angrier and glared at Evil 9. It seemed that the 2 sides were about to start fighting. "How uncultured!" A voice filled with disgust and disdain sounded out. It was a handsome young man in white standing by the side as he looked at the young women and women. He gave off a trace of Phoenix Chi. He was most likely someone from the Phoenix race, the greatest enemy of the dragon race. The 2 races did not like each other and always targeted each other, so their relationship was quite bad. Evil 9 and the young women and women could sense that this person was someone from the Phoenix race. Hearing his words, they furiously looked at the young man from the Phoenix race. The young man from the dragon race said, "You're the one who's uncultured? What does the matters of the dragon race have to do with the Phoenix race?" The young man from the Phoenix race said disdainfully, "Oh, you dare talk back? You really don't know what's good for you. Do you know my power?" As he spoke, the young man from the Phoenix race gave off a massive wave of power that covered the surroundings, causing the air to become heavy. This was the power of the extreme divine realm. Sensing this aura, the young women and women's faces became pale. They had all broken through to the divine realm not long ago and were far from the extreme divine realm. They were not a match for this young man from the Phoenix race. Seeing them like this, the young man from the Phoenix race gave a proud smile. A bunch of trash. People from the dragon race are like this. This caused the faces of the dragon race's people to turn red with anger. However, the other party was a divine extreme stage elite, and they couldn't beat him at all. If they attacked him now, they might even be killed by him. The cities that had beast arenas were filled with experts and powerful formations. Ordinary people wouldn't dare to fight in the cities. Therefore, the young man from the Phoenix clan didn't kill them directly. Evil 9 said angrily, "Don't go overboard." The young man from the Phoenix clan laughed contemptuously. "Oh, how dare you attack me?" Evil 9 glared angrily at the young man from the Phoenix clan. He could not help but release a wave of dragon power. "Umph! What's so great about bullying a few kids here? I think you phoenixes are the ones who deserve to be rebelled." A soul-stirring voice sounded out as a beautiful woman with a pair of jade-green dragon horns and a head of long, azure hair appeared. She was tall and slim, and she gave off the aura of a big sister. She wore an azure dress and gave off a powerful aura. Seeing this woman, the people from the dragon race gave happy smiles and called out, "Big Sister Ching." The Phoenix clan young man's face turned ugly. He knew the identity of the woman in front of him. Her name was Long Ching, and she had a very prestigious status. She was one of the most popular geniuses in the dragon clan. Her family was also very powerful, and it was a famous family in the dragon clan. Her cultivation was only at the Emperor Heaven realm, and this made the young man from the Phoenix clan feel quite helpless. He could not offend Long Ching, so he turned to leave. Looking at the young man from the Phoenix clan who was about to leave, Long Ching said, "You want to leave after bullying a member of the dragon race?" The young man's expression was quite unsightly as he said, "What do you want then?" Long Ching said, "Apologize to your little brother and sister and ask them to forgive you before you can leave. Otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite." The other people from the dragon race all gave happy smiles and looked at the young man from the Phoenix clan. They could now vent their anger. The young man from the Phoenix clan felt immense pressure, and he definitely did not want to apologize. However, he was incredibly afraid of Long Ching, and after thinking about it, he suppressed his anger and said, "I'm sorry for just then." After saying this, the young man from the Phoenix clan immediately prepared to leave. He had greatly embarrassed himself here today. He did not want to stay here for even a moment longer. Long Ching stopped him and said, "Did I say you could leave?" The young man from the Phoenix clan turned and angrily looked at Long Ching. "What else do you want?" Long Ching smiled as she said, "My little brother and sister haven't forgiven you yet. How can you leave?" "Long Ching, do you think the Phoenix clan fears you?" Another powerful female voice sounded out as a woman with jet black hair, perfect looks, and a mature figure appeared. She wore a white dress and gave off a noble, magnanimous, and powerful aura. The aura she gave off was quite powerful, and she was an Emperor Heaven Realm expert. There were 6 beautiful female attendants beside her, and they all gave off the aura of the Phoenix clan. Looking at the woman in front of her, Long Ching's expression became serious. The woman was called Feng Baixue, and she was a famous genius in the Phoenix clan. She also had a noble identity and was ranked 5th in the Phoenix clan. She was even stronger than Long Ching. Long Ching looked at Feng Baixue with her beautiful eyes and said, "Since you've come, this matter will end here. In the future, you'll have to manage your people properly." Feng Baixue lightly laughed. "Long Ching, you still don't understand the situation, right? It's not up to you. It's up to me. My Phoenix clan's people are bullying your Dragon clan's people. What are you going to do about it?" Long Ching's expression was cold as she said, "Anyone who dares to bully my little brother and sister, I'll teach them a lesson no matter what." Feng Baixue laughed as she said, "Haha, let me see your strength then." Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as Feng Baishue gave off a terrifying aura that blew out like a wild gale, causing everyone in the surroundings to feel a chill as their bodies uncontrollably trembled. The Dragon Clan's people, including Evil Nine, looked at Feng Baishue in fear because Feng Baishue's power was simply too terrifying. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as Long Qingqing also gave off a massive aura, blocking Feng Baishue's aura. However, it was evident that Long Qingqing's aura was slightly weaker. Under these two massive auras, the surroundings became deathly silent, and the atmosphere became quite heavy. Feng Baishue gave a trace of a domineering smile as she looked at Long Qingqing and stretched out a hand, preparing to attack. A light laugh suddenly sounded out. Chapter 2487. Hearing this chuckle, everyone was startled and turned to look at the source of the chuckle. They wanted to see who dared to laugh at this moment. They saw a black-cloaked person giving off a mysterious and dangerous aura appear in front of them. Feng Baishue frowned and said, "Who are you? It's best if you don't meddle in other people's business." Zhao Fu lightly laughed as he said, "I'm just an ordinary person. However, she's a friend of mine." The people from the dragon race looked quite confused and looked at each other, not knowing who was this mysterious person's friend. Feng Baishue's gaze became cold as she said, "So you insist on interfering? Then you ask for it." Scree! A phoenix cry sounded out as a powerful white energy flowed out of Feng Baishue's body. Feng Baishue stretched out her hand toward Zhao Fu, and the white energy turned into a massive ray of light that shot toward Zhao Fu, seeming as if it was unstoppable. Facing such a terrifying attack, Zhao Fu stood his ground and slashed out with his sword. A sharp arc of light flashed out, destroying the white ray of light. Everyone felt quite startled and felt that this person was incredibly powerful to be able to casually block such a terrifying attack. Feng Baishue also felt quite startled, and she felt that this person was even more powerful than her. Countless traces of white energy once again flowed out of Feng Baishue's body. She was not willing to be weaker than this person. Long Qingqing also gave off an azure energy and prepared to attack Feng Baishue. It was evident that Zhao Fu was here to help them, and she could not let Zhao Fu fight Feng Baishue by himself. Feng Baishue said coldly, "You people from the dragon race are indeed despicable. You want to deal with me together?" Zhao Fu lightly laughed as he said, "I think you overestimate yourself. To me, you're not powerful at all, and in fact, you're quite weak." A trace of anger appeared on Feng Baishue's face. She was a famous expert in the Phoenix race, and yet someone had spoken to her like this. How could she endure this? Scree! A massive phoenix cry sounded out as an enormous white phoenix flew out of Feng Baishue's body. It gave off boundless power and gave off boundless white light as it flew towards Zhao Fu. Boom! An ultimate power erupted from Zhao Fu's body. It was like a huge flood that could destroy everything. It surged out in all directions, and nothing could stop it. When Zhao Fu no longer held back and exploded out with his power, everyone present felt incredibly shocked. That terrifying power seemed to pull people into an endless abyss, and they could not help but feel a surge of fear in their hearts. The massive white phoenix continued to fly towards Zhao Fu with immense power. Just as it was about to hit Zhao Fu suddenly stopped. Zhao Fu stretched out a hand and grabbed the huge white phoenix's head. Then, with a forceful grip, the huge white phoenix turned into countless white motes of light and dissipated. Feng Baishue's face became somewhat pale, and there was even a trace of fear on her face. It was not because of the attack that Zhao Fu had just unleashed, but because she had sensed the sovereign dragon bloodline within Zhao Fu's body. It was not just her. The other members of the dragon race also looked at Zhao Fu in shock. Right now, they could only feel that their bloodlines were extremely fearful, but also extremely excited. Their dragon souls could not help but submit, The person in front of them was the sovereign dragon race. No one was more familiar with the sovereign dragon race than the dragon race. Most importantly, the person in front of them possessed the sovereign dragon bloodline. It was the most terrifying sovereign dragon bloodline that they knew of. No other sovereign dragon bloodline could compare to it. Even the sovereign dragon bloodline of the Dragon Royal Palace was weaker than it by a level. The Dragon Royal Palace was the supreme place of the dragon race, and they controlled everything in the dragon race. No dragon race dared to go against their orders. The sovereign dragon bloodline of the person in front of them was even more terrifying than the sovereign dragon bloodline of the Dragon Royal Palace. It was very likely that he was even more terrifying than the Dragon Royal Palace, or that he was the supreme existence of the Dragon Royal Palace. As famous experts of their race, Feng Baixue and Long Qingqing had naturally seen the sovereign dragon bloodline of the Dragon Royal Palace. However, they had never seen such a terrifying bloodline, which was why they were so shocked. Long Qingqing reacted quickly, and she bowed to Zhao Fu. "Greetings, revered dragon." The other members of the dragon race had never expected to meet such a terrifying person, and they also bowed nervously. Feng Baixue and the rest looked at Zhao Fu with pale faces, and they were speechless. Zhao Fu looked at Long Qingqing and the rest, and he laughed lightly. "You're welcome. I'm not some revered dragon." Long Qingqing felt strange. She could not understand why someone with such a terrifying bloodline would say that he wasn't a revered dragon. Could it be that he was even more terrifying than the sovereign dragon race? Zhao Fu looked at Feng Baixue, and he smiled. "Am I lying to you? You're not that strong to me." Feng Baixue was now completely convinced, and she did not have any objections. She nodded and admitted, "You're indeed very strong, even stronger than me. Bloodlines are not something that I can touch, and I'm indeed inferior to you." Zhao Fu lightly laughed. "You're quite tactful." Feng Baixue looked at Zhao Fu, and she asked nervously, "How do you plan to deal with me now?" Zhao Fu smiled and asked, "How do you want me to deal with you?" Feng Baixue replied, "I respect existences of your level. I was wrong this time, and I sincerely apologize to you. I hope you can forgive me." It was extremely rare for Feng Baixue to say such words, and with her personality, she would never say such a thing. Zhao Fu thought for a while, and he did not want to make a big deal out of this. After all, he still needed to participate in the upcoming competition and obtain the Empyrean Demon Horse Stone. "I'll plant a restriction in your bodies so that you won't be able to talk about what happened. After that, you can leave. If you're not willing, I'll kill you right now." Everyone felt quite shocked. With Feng Baixue's terrifying identity, almost no one would dare to kill her so casually. Her identity was simply too terrifying. Feng Baixue fell into deep thought. If news of her opponent possessing such a terrifying bloodline was leaked, it would definitely shake the entire Devil Domain. After all, no one had ever seen such a terrifying Dragon Clan supreme bloodline. He did not want to make a big deal out of this, so he wanted them to hide this information. She could accept this, as it was better than being killed by him. If she was killed by such a terrifying person, even her clan would not dare to take revenge. Feng Baixue nodded and said, "I agree." The others did not have any objections. Even someone as prestigious as Feng Baixue had agreed. So how could they have any objections? Zhao Fu waved his hand, and rays of black light shot towards Feng Baixue's body, turning into countless restrictions that spread out and covered their bodies. Chapter 2488. The rays of black light entered their bodies, causing everyone's hearts to tremble. That power was something that they could not even imagine. The other party's bloodline was so terrifying, and his power was similarly terrifying. Now, they were even more nervous and fearful of Zhao Fu, and their hearts were filled with a sense of inferiority. Zhao Fu turned to look at Long Qingqing's group. Long Qingqing understood that Zhao Fu didn't want them to leak his information. If his information was leaked, all the revered dragons in the Dragon Sovereign Palace would be looking for him. The entire dragon tribe would be in an uproar over this. Thus, he took the initiative and said, "Supreme Dragon, Please place a restriction on our bodies so that we won't leak out any information. A trace of a smile appeared on Zhao Fu's face, and he also waved his hand, causing black rays of light to shoot into the bodies of those people. The people of the Dragon Clan also revealed shocked expressions. They were shocked by how terrifying Zhao Fu's strength was. They would never be able to break free from such a restriction in their entire lives. Evil Nine looked at Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu gave her a familiar feeling, but she couldn't remember who it was. Now that Zhao Fu had planted restrictions in their bodies, everyone felt much more relaxed because this meant that Zhao Fu would not kill them. Zhao Fu's lips curled up as he walked towards Long Qingqing and the rest. Long Qingqing and the others thought back to what Zhao Fu had said before, that one of them was his friend. Just who was it that had such a terrifying existence as a friend? They felt incredibly envious. Feng Baixue and the others were also very curious about who Zhao Fu's friend was. When Long Qingqing saw Zhao Fu walk towards them, she became extremely nervous and her heartbeat quickened. Finally, Zhao Fu came in front of Evil Nine and said with a smile, "I haven't seen you in more than 10 years. Don't you recognize me now?" Everyone was surprised. They hadn't expected Zhao Fu's friend to be Evil Nine. The other dragon race youths started to feel afraid. They had never thought that Evil Nine would have such a terrifying friend. They had even spoken to Evil Nine like that. Long Qingqing did not expect Evil Nine to befriend a dragon clan supremacy. She had never heard Evil Nine mention it before. Logically speaking, there was no way Evil Nine wouldn't tell her that he had such a terrifying friend. Evil Nine looked at Zhao Fu, and the more he looked at Zhao Fu, the more familiar he felt. However, when he thought about how this had happened over 10 years ago, Evil Nine suddenly thought of something. More than 10 years ago, she was still in a new world and did not come to the demon realm. In that new world, she did not have many friends, only a few, and one of them was like the person in front of her. Evil Nine understood Zhao Fu's identity and happily leaped into Zhao Fu's arms. "Zhao Fu, why are you here? I'm so happy to see you." Everyone looked surprised. They hadn't expected Evil Nine to know Zhao Fu, and they seemed to have a good relationship. He even knew a lot about him, such as Zhao Fu's name. Zhao Fu hugged Evil Nine and said with a smile, "Really? If I didn't tell you, you wouldn't have recognized me." Evil Nine said embarrassedly, "I never thought that I would meet you here. You've changed too much over the years, and your aura and voice are completely different, so I didn't recognize you." No one would have thought that a person who had only entered the Heaven Awakened world for 10 or so years would cause such a stir. Zhao Fu looked around and smiled as he said, "Come with me. I have some things to talk to you about." Evil Nine happily nodded and hugged Zhao Fu. She did not know what power Zhao Fu had that attracted her to him. Zhao Fu hugged Evil Nine and wanted to go back to the room and talk to Evil Nine about the things that had happened over the years. The remaining people awkwardly stood there because they were not Zhao Fu's friends and did not attract Zhao Fu's attention. However, they were all quite curious about Zhao Fu's identity. Long Qingqing understood that this matter was incredibly important to the dragon race, and as a member of the dragon race, she could not just ignore this. Even if it was not for the dragon race, she had to think about her family. She wanted to obtain some information about Zhao Fu. "Jiuer, I also want to get to know a friend like you." Evil Nine turned to look at Long Qingqing and understood her intentions. He did not refuse because Long Qingqing treated him very well and was his favorite big sister. "Zhao Fu, Big Sister Qing, can you come with us? Can Big Sister Qing come with us? She is also very curious about you." Hearing this, Zhao Fu looked at Long Qingqing and did not mind. He smiled and nodded, saying, "No problem." Long Qingqing felt quite delighted and said respectfully, "Thank you, Lord Dragon Sovereign." Feng Baixue understood Long Qingqing's goal. The dragon race was the phoenix race's greatest enemy, and now that such a terrifying person had appeared in the dragon race, she wanted to obtain information about Zhao Fu. This would be incredibly useful in the future. If such a terrifying person ruled over the dragon race, it was possible that he could destroy the entire phoenix race. This matter was simply too important and concerned the survival of the phoenix race. Sir, I greatly admire you and want to get to know you. I admire you very much and want to know more about you. I wonder if you can give me a chance? Zhao Fu turned to look at Feng Baishua and smiled as he said, If you want to come, then come. However, let me warn you not to regret it. Feng Baishua felt quite delighted and felt that Zhao Fu would not kill them. At most, he would place a few restrictions in their bodies to prevent them from divulging this information. So she nodded and said, Everyone felt quite happy. They were all quite curious about Zhao Fu's identity and hoped to have some sort of connection with such a terrifying person. This meant that they would be able to ascend to the heavens in a single step, so they all followed Zhao Fu. After coming to the room, the sheep-headed young man looked quite surprised. He had never thought that Zhao Fu would bring so many people. Moreover, there were two terrifying people. One was Long Qingqing and the other was Feng Baishua. They were both strong competitors in this dueling competition. So how could Zhao Fu bring them here? The dragon race and phoenix race were enemies, and it was very difficult for them to get along. However, it seemed that they were very respectful towards that person and did not seem hostile at all. Could it be that that person's identity was not simple? This was the only explanation. The sheep-headed young man became even more respectful and called for people to serve more tea, snacks, and spirit fruits to Zhao Fu and the others. After coming to the room, Evil Nine asked curiously, Zhao Fu, hurry and tell me why you've changed so much over the past 10 or so years. Also, how did you become the sovereign of the dragon race? You possess such terrifying power. I underestimated you back then. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, I'll tell you about these things later. First, tell me what you've experienced over the past few years, why you're here, and why you suddenly disappeared back then. Evil Nine happily nodded and started to talk about what had happened in the past 10 or so years. He answered some of the questions that had been bothering Zhao Fu for a long time. Chapter 2489. After Evil Nine had left Qin, she had been training in the north, and she had met the northern guardian beast, the Sky Desolation Azure Dragon. The Sky Desolation Azure Dragon liked Evil Nine very much, so she took her as her granddaughter. At that time, the situation in the human world had greatly changed. The curtains to the Warring States period had been drawn, and the various factions all had powerful factions. At that time, the Lord Creatures of the Regions had two choices. The first was to stay in the human world and continue to be the Lord Creatures of the Regions. The second was for the four guardian beasts to open world gates, which the Lord Creatures of the Regions could use to go to other worlds. The Lord Creatures of the various factions understood how terrifying those factions were, and staying in the human world meant certain death. As such, they all chose to go to other worlds through world gates, causing many of the Lord Creatures of the human world to disappear. As the Sky Desolation Azure Dragon's granddaughter, Evil Nine was directly sent to the dragon race in the Devil Domain. The Sky Desolation Azure Dragon was a very powerful family in the dragon race, and their Sky Desolation Dragon power was a top-tier dragon power. The Sky Desolation Azure Dragon bloodline was a top-tier bloodline in the dragon race, and it had a very high status in the entire dragon race. The Sky Desolation Azure Dragon was called Long Fong, and he was a Void Realm expert. He was an elder in the family and had quite a bit of power. He had accepted a quest from the Heaven Awakened world to send a clone into the human world to be the human world's guardian beast. The Sky Desolation Azure Dragon in the human world was just a clone of Long Fong and was not his true body. Long Fong's true body had always been in the dragon race. Long Fong liked children and had adopted many little dragons, and he had worked hard to nurture them. The White Dragon and the young men and women from the dragon race had all been adopted by Long Fong. Because Evil Nine was cute, Long Fong liked her very much, and he had spent a lot of resources to nurture her. That was why Evil Nine had broken through to the divine realm so quickly, and the other young men and women were quite jealous and did not like Evil Nine. As for Long Qingqing, she was Long Fong's granddaughter and had the Sky Desolation Azure Dragon bloodline. She often helped Long Fong take care of these young men and women, and because of this, many of the young men and women liked her. After the human world's protective barrier disappeared, Long Feng's clone returned to his main body and received the Heaven Awakened World's rewards, and he often went into closed-door cultivation. He remembered that when Long Feng and the other 3 guardian beasts left the human world, they told Zhao Fu to go to the Devil Domain. Zhao Fu had not gone to the Devil Domain because he had nothing else to do. He had not expected to meet Evil Nine here today. Evil Nine and Long Feng did not expect Zhao Fu to have such terrifying potential and grow into a frightening figure that they had to look up to. Zhao Fu, hurry up and tell us. What have you experienced over the years? How did you become so powerful? Why do you have the Paragon Dragon bloodline? Aren't you a human? Evil Nine sat at a table and looked at Zhao Fu expectantly. When the masses heard Evil Nine's words, they were dumbfounded. The man in front of us isn't from the dragon race, but a human? But if he wasn't from the dragon race, how could he possess such a powerful supreme bloodline of the dragon race? Most importantly, the dragon race's bloodline is even purer than theirs. This can't be real. It must be fake. This can't possibly happen. A human can't possibly possess a dragon race bloodline of this level. However, they only heard Zhao Fu lightly laugh as he said, I've experienced many things over the years. That dragon race bloodline is a bloodline that I obtained by chance when I received the legacy. This bloodline has continuously improved along with me, which is why I have such terrifying power. It's true. It's actually true. The masses looked at Zhao Fu in shock, their minds completely blank. They had never thought that the person who possessed such a terrifying supreme bloodline of the dragon race was a human. No wonder he did not release his power. They all thought that Zhao Fu was just a human. Only after releasing his power did he sense the supreme power of the dragon race. Evil Nine said curiously, What terrifying legacy did you obtain? Why do you have the supreme bloodline of the dragon race? Zhao Fu smiled as he replied, It's a legacy called the 10,000 Dragon Legacy. This legacy is controlled by a 10,000 dragon merchant group, which build a dragon ascending platform in a city. Anyone who wants to go up can go up at any time. As long as they go up, they can obtain this legacy and many rewards. Everyone once again looked confused. Such a terrifying legacy that could shake the Devil Domain had been obtained so easily. Moreover, it was located in a city and anyone could go up. Long Qingqing interrupted the conversation and asked nervously and excitedly, May I ask if the Supreme Dragon still exists? No matter who it was, they would be tempted by the supreme bloodline of the dragon race. No one could resist its temptation. In fact, some people would go crazy and do anything to obtain it. Now that she knew that there was such a place where one could obtain the supreme bloodline of the dragon race without paying any price, Long Qingqing also wanted to give it a try. Moreover, obtaining this dragon ascending platform was equivalent to obtaining a supreme treasure of the dragon race. It was a treasure that would cause the entire dragon race to go wild with joy. Even a higher being would desperately fight for this treasure. It could be seen how precious it was. Feng Baishua listened attentively and did not dare to miss a single word. She understood how terrifying this treasure was and how important it was to the dragon race. She also wanted to obtain that treasure and see if she could obtain the supreme bloodline of the dragon race. If she could not obtain it, she would definitely destroy it. Both sides felt that the merchant group was too wasteful. They had not properly protected such a terrifying legacy and had instead allowed others to obtain it. Zhao Fu lightly laughed as he said, That legacy can only be given to one person. After I ascended to the 10,000 Dragon stage, that legacy disappeared. The 10,000 Dragon Financial Group also called me to the Devil Domain, but I did not have the time. Hearing this, everyone felt quite disappointed. However, after thinking about it, how could a legacy that could give the supreme bloodline of the dragon race be so easily obtained? Hearing Zhao Fu's words, Long Qingqing's expression became serious as she asked, Is that merchant group really called the 10,000 Dragon Financial Group? How come I've never heard of such a merchant group before? Since they called you to the Devil Domain, they should be from the dragon race. Now, things have become quite complicated. It was most likely that someone from the dragon race had purposely taken this legacy to another place so that someone else could obtain it. Perhaps there was some sort of scheme involved, and this legacy was related to the supreme bloodline of the dragon race. This meant that this was a massive scheme within the dragon race, which was why Long Qingqing was so serious. Feng Baishu also thought so. In her heart, she thought that this plot might be extremely terrifying and might even cause a great change in the dragon clan. The man in front of her was the one who started this plot, and to put it bluntly, he must be the most important chess piece in this plot. Chapter 2490. Zhao Fu lightly nodded, saying, "That merchant group is called the 10,000 Dragon Financial Group, but it's very mysterious and I don't know much about it." "That's right, they gave me a 10,000 Dragon medallion. With that medallion, I can find them." He could use this medallion to understand what kind of organization the 10,000 Dragon Financial Group was, and perhaps he would be able to learn about this huge scheme. Long Qingqing asked in delight, "Lord Dragon Sovereign, can you take out that token and let me have a look? Maybe I can find out their identity from it." Zhao Fu looked at Long Qingqing and said calmly, "Why should I show it to you?" He owed the 10,000 Dragon Financial Group a debt of gratitude, and Zhao Fu's goal was not to go to the Devil Domain. He was just passing by. He did not want to cause any big trouble, and this matter might not be ordinary. Zhao Fu was quite curious about this legacy. Why did the 10,000 Dragon Financial Group have the dragon race's sovereign legacy? The 10,000 Dragon Financial Group's identity was quite suspicious, and there was definitely a reason why they wanted him to go to the Devil Domain. Long Qingqing's expression froze. Only now did she realize that the other party was an extremely terrifying expert with a high status. She was weak and had a low status, so she couldn't compare to him. Naturally, she couldn't ask Zhao Fu to do anything for her. Everyone became more cautious. They recognized their status and understood that this person could kill them at any time, so they didn't dare to say anything. Evil Nine looked at Zhao Fu and said coquettishly, "Zhao Fu, don't bully my sister." Zhao Fu chuckled. "I didn't bully him. All right, that's all for now. I'll tell you about the rest in the future." Evil Nine was a little disappointed. "But I also want to see that token." "Zhao Fu, do you really not want to know about this? My sister has a very high status in the Dragon Clan and knows a lot of things. She must have discovered something." Long Qingqing said respectfully, "Lord Dragon Sovereign, since you've obtained the Dragon Clan's sovereign bloodline, even if you're not from the Dragon Clan, you're still closely related to our Dragon Clan. This matter is very important to our Dragon Clan." Zhao Fu thought for a moment before taking out the command medallion. This medallion was as big as a palm and was silvery white. There were many dragons engraved on it, and they looked incredibly lively, as if they were alive. At the center of the medallion was the number 9, which was condensed from many dragon race runes and gave off a powerful dragon's might. Seeing this token, Long Qingqing looked incredibly shocked, and her mind went blank as she knelt on the ground. 9 Dragon Sovereign. The other people from the dragon race looked quite confused and could not understand why Long Qingqing was so shocked after seeing this medallion, and why she had called Zhao Fu the 9 Dragon Sovereign. Feng Baishu also looked at Zhao Fu in shock. Seeing Zhao Fu take out that command medallion, she guessed Zhao Fu's true identity. Zhao Fu, Sovereign, and Fu Dragon, Spirit, Chun, Zhao Fu. Long Qingqing nodded and said, "This token is our Dragon Clan Supreme Token, the Dragon Sovereign Token. It represents the 9th Dragon Emperor, and ordinary dragons don't have the right to see it." Hearing Long Qingqing's words, the expressions of the other dragons, including Evil Nine, fell, and they hurriedly knelt on the ground and said respectfully, "Greetings, 9th Dragon Emperor." The Phoenix Clan's people looked incredibly shocked. They had never thought that this man's identity would be so terrifying. Moreover, didn't the Dragon Clan only have 8 Dragon Emperors? Why was there a 9th Dragon Emperor? There were 8 people in the Dragon Clan, and they ruled over the entire Dragon Clan. They were the 8 supreme existences, and countless people had to look up to and respect them. Their words were filled with heavenly might, and no one dared to go against them. His bloodline was the sovereign dragon clan's bloodline, and it was the highest grade bloodline in the dragon clan. No other dragon clan's bloodline could compare to his. The person in front of him was indeed in existence on the same level as them. Zhao Fu did not know anything about the dragon clan, and he was filled with confusion as he asked, "Tell me in detail." Long Qingqing nodded. I'll explain it to Lord Dragon Sovereign. Within the dragon clan, there's a dragon imperial palace. This dragon imperial palace controls the entire dragon clan, and it has a supreme status within the dragon clan. At first, the dragon imperial palace was controlled by 9 dragon emperors. The 9 dragon emperors all have factions that they support, and they all have the same status and power. The first dragon emperor and 9th dragon emperor have the same position, and the dragon clan is jointly controlled by the 9 dragon emperors. Many years ago, a peerless genius appeared within the Phoenix clan, and he had the ability to defy the heavens and change fate. He led the entire Phoenix clan to wage a massive war against the dragon clan in order to fight for the position of #1 clan in the Devil Domain. That war was the most intense war between the Dragon Clan and the Phoenix Clan, and in the history of the Devil Domain, it was called the Dragon and Phoenix Struggle for Hegemony. The war was incredibly intense, and it affected almost the entire Devil Domain. It wasn't just the Dragon and Phoenix clans that fought. Other clans, big and small, were also dragged in, shaking the entire Heaven Awakened world. This war caused the deaths of countless Devil Race people. Corpses piled up into mountains, and blood flowed into rivers. The heavens and earth became desolate, and vengeful spirits wailed everywhere. It was like hell on earth, and the entire Devil Domain's strength greatly fell. Hearing this, the people from the Dragon and Phoenix clans looked incredibly shocked. They had never thought that this would be related to the most intense war in the history of the Dragon and Phoenix clans. Feng Baishua's expression was serious. She knew about this because her status was slightly higher than Long Qingqing's, and she knew some things that Long Qingqing did not know. Long Qingqing continued to speak. During that war, the Dragon Clan suffered heavy losses. Under the leadership of that peerless genius, the Phoenix Clan continuously defeated the Dragon Clan's army, and just as the Dragon Clan was about to be defeated, the 9 Dragon Emperors gathered together, and after a discussion, they decided to use a terrifying plan. The plan was to gather the power of the other 8 Dragon Emperors into 1 Dragon Emperor and let that Dragon Emperor kill the peerless genius of the Phoenix Clan. In the final battle, that Dragon Emperor exploded out with celestial-level battle power, causing the heavens and earth to dim and countless creatures to tremble. He forcefully killed that Phoenix Clan's genius and turned the tide of the battle, allowing the Dragon Clan to win. However, that Dragon Emperor also died because he used a forbidden technique. That Dragon Emperor was the 9th Dragon Emperor, and he used his life to allow the Dragon Clan to win. The people from the Dragon Clan listened excitedly. The Dragon Clan had defeated the Phoenix Clan and maintained their position as the #1 devil race, and they were filled with respect towards the 9th Dragon Emperor. He was the hero who had saved the Dragon Clan. The people from the Phoenix Clan looked incredibly sorrowful and furious. Their peerless genius had died, just like that. She had almost led the Phoenix Clan to defeat the Dragon Clan and become the #1 devil race. It was a pity that after that, the Phoenix Clan had never produced another peerless genius. Chapter 2491. Zhao Fu listened attentively and said, "I've obtained the 9th Dragon Emperor's legacy. Also, why isn't this inheritance in your Dragon Clan, but somewhere else?" Long Qingqing respectfully replied, "That's right. Lord Longzuan obtained the 9th Dragon Emperor's legacy. This legacy is not in the dragon race, but is related to the 9th Dragon Emperor himself. Before the 9th Dragon Emperor died, he used a terrifying prophecy technique of the Dragon Clan. He sensed some unknown and terrifying things, so he gave many orders. Taking his inheritance away from the Devil Realm was one of his orders. It seems that the 9th Dragon Emperor's prophecy has come true. Longzuin obtained the ninth Dragon Emperor's legacy and became someone even more terrifying than the other Dragon Emperors. It was now clear that the people from the 10,000 Dragon Financial Group were definitely the ninth Dragon Emperor's subordinates. They had taken the ninth Dragon Emperor's legacy to another place so that Zhao Fu could obtain it. They had also given Zhao Fu the Dragon Emperor token that represented his identity. The person in front of them had obtained the ninth Dragon Emperor's legacy, so he was naturally the ninth Dragon Emperor's successor. He should also be called the Dragon Emperor and be on the same level as the other Dragon Emperors. Now that everyone knew who Zhao Fu was, they felt that Zhao Fu was incredibly terrifying. They felt that they were too small and pitiful, and they could not compare to him at all. After hearing this, Zhao Fu thought for a moment and asked, "How is the ninth Dragon Emperor's faction now? It seems like they don't know about the ninth Dragon Emperor. What's going on?" Long Qingqing explained, "Lord Longzuin, I already said that it happened many years ago. So much time has passed, so naturally, many people don't know about it. After the ninth Dragon Emperor died, the forces that followed him lost their backbone and became a pile of loose sand. Under the deliberate suppression of the other Dragon Emperors, they joined the other Dragon Emperors and became subordinates of the other Dragon Emperors. Now that so many years have passed, many people have forgotten about the ninth Dragon Emperor. They don't know that there was a Dragon Emperor who died for the Dragon race, and they don't know that the Dragon Imperial Hall once had 9 Dragon Emperors. The factions that follow the ninth Dragon Emperor might not even know that their faction used to belong to the ninth Dragon Emperor. They might have even merged into the Dragon Emperor faction and become the other Dragon Emperor's people. Right now, there should still be a small number of people who are loyal to the ninth Dragon Emperor. These people are from the 10,000 Dragon Financial Group." Zhao Fu now understood the cause and effect of this matter. The things that had been puzzling him for a long time had also been explained, and he felt relieved. The 10,000 Dragon Financial Group had given him the ninth Dragon Emperor's token and sent him to the Devil Domain. It was very likely that they wanted him to become the ninth Dragon Emperor and their leader. However, right now, Zhao Fu did not want to go to the Devil Domain. This was because this was a big problem. With Zhao Fu's strength, he would not be able to solve this problem. Instead, it would be extremely dangerous. They could not rely on the 10,000 Dragon Financial Group to do anything, as they were far too insignificant compared to the entire dragon race. Apart from the Dragon Clan, the Phoenix Clan would also interfere in this matter, which would be even more troublesome. Zhao Fu looked at the people kneeling before him and said with a smile, "All of you, get up." The other members of the dragon race looked at Zhao Fu, feeling more and more like and worship him. This man in front of them was someone from the dragon race, and he was the ninth Dragon Emperor. The Phoenix race's people's faces became pale. They had never thought that Zhao Fu's background would be so terrifying. He was the ninth Dragon Emperor's legatee, and he was even more terrifying than the other Dragon Emperors. The Phoenix race now had another great enemy, Lord Dragon Sovereign. Now that you know who you are, what do you plan to do? Everyone else had already stood up, but Long Qingqing was still kneeling on the ground, looking at Zhao Fu in anticipation. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "Now that I know these things, I don't plan on going to the Devil Domain." Hearing this, the Phoenix race's people were delighted and almost jumped up. Their race would have one less terrifying enemy. The other members of the dragon race looked quite disappointed. Long Qingqing asked, "Lord Dragon Sovereign, now that you know who you are, why don't you go to the Devil Domain?" Back then, our Sky Desolation Azure Dragon family was a faction under the ninth Dragon Emperor, and I am willing to serve the ninth Dragon Emperor. Zhao Fu lightly laughed as he said, "The situation is different now. With my current identity, there are countless people who want to kill me. Going to the Devil Domain is too dangerous, and you cannot represent the Sky Desolation Azure Dragon race to serve me." Long Qingqing hurriedly said, "Lord Dragon Sovereign, there's something I didn't tell you." Back then, the 9 Dragon Emperors discussed and chose the 9th Dragon Emperor to carry out the plan. At the same time, the other Dragon Emperors agreed to a request. That request was for the 9th Dragon Emperor's legatee to become the master of the Dragon Imperial Hall and control the entire dragon race. In other words, you are the grand and majestic master of the dragon race. So please go back and lead the entire dragon race. Wah! Everyone was sent into an uproar as they stared at the man in front of them. Massive waves crashed within their hearts, causing their hearts to violently beat and their bodies to heat up. They had never thought that things would turn out like this. Not only was the man in front of them the ninth Dragon Emperor, but he was also the master of the entire dragon race. This was simply too shocking. A beautiful woman from the Phoenix race next to her asked Feng Baishua in disbelief, "Miss, is this true?" The other dragon emperors agreed to this request. Feng Baishua's expression was quite unsightly as she nodded. "This is true, so the Phoenix race places great importance on the ninth Dragon Emperor's legatee. We've always been worried about this matter, and we never thought that we would meet him." Hearing this, the other people from the Phoenix race no longer doubted and believed Long Qingqing's words. Long Qingqing continued to persuade, "Lord Dragon Sovereign, the ninth Dragon Emperor's prophecy is also related to you. He said that his legatee will definitely become the master of the dragon race and will lead the entire dragon race. Among the 8 dragon emperors, there are a few who are on good terms with the ninth dragon emperor. They will fulfill this request and support you as the leader of the dragon clan. Then, you can use the ninth dragon emperor's name to gather the subordinates of the ninth dragon emperor. They will definitely be loyal to you. You will definitely become the master of the dragon race. Please believe me when I say that you will return to the dragon race and become our king, and you will lead us to glory." The people from the dragon race looked at Zhao Fu expectantly, hoping that Zhao Fu would agree. After all, if Zhao Fu became the master of the dragon race would become one. Adding on how terrifying Zhao Fu was, he would definitely destroy the Phoenix race. The people from the Phoenix race looked quite nervous, and they definitely did not want Zhao Fu to become the master of the dragon race. They hoped that Zhao Fu would definitely refuse, or else the Phoenix race would face a massive catastrophe. In fact, they could already sense how terrifying the Phoenix race would be after it was destroyed. That you're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.